the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me.
And we have our intro.
Hey, yo, we're back.
That's a beauty.
What's cooking? So, guys, we need to talk about our weeks. Get this out of the way because we got some interesting things to talk about. Kyle, how did your week go?
It was good. It was I guess get it kicked off at my 10-year dating anniversary, 4-year wedding anniversary came up. So we shipped the kids off to grandma's. She came and picked them up and ended up got a room out the Harrison Hot Springs, the resort there.
Ooh, used to work there.
Yeah, I remember.
Mm.
So I booked it thinking like, okay, is enough time's passed. COVID's kind of like easing up a little bit. The spa will probably be open. So I get an email a couple days beforehand. Hey, confirmed. Just so you know, the spa opens in August. So the day after you leave. So no spa. But it was my
Brutal.
first time ever being in those hot springs though. That was a trip because
Nice.
I got nice and drunk beforehand. We got some champagne and I found out that I'm old as shit. So we
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
for our wedding we got a bottle of Hennessy from Dickie and
Bougie.
we're like we don't really drink that often, so let's save it for something special. So we waited and we finally were like, okay, we're gonna bring it out there. So we both pour a shot, clank. We take.
It's not
That-
actually good.
It's not good at
No.
all. It's not even like slightly
It's
decent.
for
Really?
like people who want to think they're rich, like the
Oh,
Gucci group, you know, like
no.
you wear Gucci because it's
Gucci
expensive
group.
clothing, but the only people it's like it's
Yeah,
that
it
kind
was
of people.
dog shit. It tasted like taking a Captain Morgan shot. Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to mix that. Dude,
Ugh.
it's not made for
That's
this.
so tough.
Or I'm
Like,
not made for it because I used to take Captain Morgan shots and they weren't that bad. But no, it was
wow.
it was terrible.
I always had it built up in my head because, like, obviously I've never had it. I've always had it built up in my head that this is like the bougiest thing you could have. This is like,
No, that's how they market it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's different versions of it. There's some like pretty expensive stuff that's like smoother, but like I mean, at the end of the day, it's all alcohol. It's all nasty.
well, like
But
it's a less good version of Patron, where like Patron is always like the top
See,
tier, whatever. But I
I've
can take a shot of that. And
always
it's not really a
hated
big
Patron.
deal.
Like when it comes to tequila, it's one of the few drinks that I could drink without needing a chaser. Like I could just take a shot.
yeah,
But I've always hated Patron.
that's
Yeah.
wild.
There's a couple of other ones that I liked, but no.
It's funny because, like, all I hear is people's like horror stories of how I can't drink tequila. Like, people get so serious, like, no, I can't, because it's like, I guess it's bad for some people. I don't really.
I
know.
don't believe that shit, man. It's just like people have a certain mindset when they're around certain alcohol. So it's like, oh, like whiskey makes me angry. And it's like, no, dude, you're just an
Yeah.
angry person. You get
You're-
angry when you get drunk.
Yeah.
Alcoholic.
Exactly, yeah.
you only remember that one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and usually when tequila's coming out, that's when people are in that like extreme party mode or something. Like, let's
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
fucked up, right?
Yeah.
So tequila comes out. So then it's like, oh, why did the tequila did it to me? And it's like, no, bro, you did it to yourself.
But like, yeah, I just assumed. I always just I have all these assumptions because, like I said, I don't have a clue. But the other day, these guys came in and they were just like, "We want to try the most expensive tequilas you have."
Oh,
And so the top 4 tequilas we had were this one called the first one was Gerard Suprema. I don't know, it was like $40 a shot.
wow.
It's not a
Jesus.
cheap bottle.
Wow.
Then number 2 was the Clase Azul. It's got like this weird bell thing on the side.
Huh.
Some guy bought the entire bottle just so he could ring the bell.
Wow.
So that was $500.
Some
just
fuck
to-
you money right there.
Wow.
And I didn't get to witness it, but I did watch him leave with a bloody hand. So I don't know what he did, but they fucked it up.
He rang the
for
fuck
him.
out of it.
Number 2 is 3 was the Don Julio 1942, and then the Patron Grand, I think, was the 4th
Oh
one.
yeah.
And-
Yeah, people think Patron is like the top, where it's like, no, it's entry level, high tier.
Yeah.
It's top marketed. That's about
Yeah.
it.
So all those are like over $30 a shot, and I was just like, these guys were trying them, and their consensus was that the Gerard Suprema was trash, and I was like, damn, you paid that much money just to tell me it sucked.
Yeah.
I was
Well, it's
all
like
right.
it's
Tough
an acquired
break.
taste too, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna enjoy it the first time.
I think the one they liked the most was the Don Julio, but I was like,
See, I've heard high remarks about that one. How do you put that? But yeah, that one's
Yeah.
supposed to be a better one. But I think the best tequila I've ever had. Have you ever seen the show Entourage?
I've
Yeah.
seen the movie.
Yeah, okay. So in that series, they make like a tequila. That's a real tequila. And
Okay.
I found it back in Alberta, back in my like heavy partying days, and it was still the best tasting tequila I've had so far. It was decent, yeah.
Yeah, I think the best one I've had was I think it was Herradura's, and it was
Herradura.
Herradura.
Why are
There's
we putting
potential that there's a lot more syllables in there, but what I
That's all you
remember
have
it
to
was
say
a
when you're drunk.
Herradura's.
I'll get a Herradura.
Yeah.
But I remember because we went all inclusive in Mexico before kids, obviously.
Nice.
And I remember we were just asking about tequila, and the guy's like, "Oh, if you came up here really rude, I'd say, yeah, Don Julio, best tequila we got. Yeah, here's extras. But because you're being nice, here we'll bring you this."
the
And
real stuff.
yeah, so it was delicious. Ended up buying a bottle on the way home.
there you go.
Smashed it in the luggage, so that was fun.
Nice.
It was
But your clothes smell great.
from the plane all the way home, just soaking in it. So it was
Yeah.
good.
Wow.
Legend has it, if you wore those clothes, you would have gotten really fucked up.
Yeah, when I try and cross the border.
Sir, you smell like alcohol. Let me
It's
tell
the clothes,
you.
I swear.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a Herradura.
It's just everything about me. The herders all over.
I soaked myself in tequila just to test to see how good you were at your job.
You
That's
gotta
what it
pass.
was. I'm actually
Congratulations.
sober. Yeah. Anyways, Matt, what about you? How was your week?
It was terrible, actually.
Positivity.
No, my fucking truck, man. I hate this piece of shit. So my window just like broke like 2 days ago. I was rolling it up. Something inside, like the bracket or something, just snapped. I heard a pop, and the whole window just slid right down. But the issue is, like, it's an easily fixable thing. I've actually fixed this problem before, but I bought a used part, so I'm not surprised that it broke. But I don't want to fix this thing anymore. I've been fixing it for years, and I just hate it, and it's a piece of shit, and there's so much more wrong with it. So I can't even sell it at this point. So I'm so upset. Not that it's broken, but that I have to fix something else on it. I'm just
The
I'm over this thing.
animosity, I could feel it.
Oh man, I'm so over this truck. I've had it for a long time, and I'm surprised every day when I make it home. I'm like, oh wow, the tire didn't come off. Like that's impressive.
Oh no.
But yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
just a piece of shit.
Fixing my car stresses me out. Like my windshield looks like a tic-tac-toe board with cracks right now, and I'm just like, one day a cop's gonna pull me over and be like, "Bro, what's going on here?" And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well,
"It's
I have
been
like
this."
I have quite a bit of tools. I've done a lot of mechanics. I used to work in a heavy duty mechanic shop, metal shops, all this stuff. Like I know how to pull wrenches, I guess you could say, but I just fucking hate doing it, and especially on a truck that I hate. I'm over it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. My work fucking sucks.
What's going on, man?
There's a COVID outbreak in Kelowna, so that means everyone out here, hours away, has to start wearing masks again.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
about this.
not customers. Like if you guys go to a restaurant, no one
Yeah.
cares. Doesn't matter to you.
I'm pretty sure I've been doing that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
But people working at the restaurant have to start wearing masks again.
Oh.
Well, maybe it's just my restaurant. I don't know. But pretty much everywhere I've gone lately, I've seen all the staff wearing masks too. But it's so shit. Like I'm so over this COVID thing, and now
Yeah,
I'm
man.
wearing a mask again.
I'm starting to hear outbreaks in different spots in Canada and stuff.
Well,
Fuck, man.
even us, even right now, we have like 2 girls that just got tested positive. It's like,
No way.
give me a break. What are you guys doing?
Isn't it supposed to be made up? Like, why are people still getting sick? Like, I thought we were past this.
But still, I'm just like, over this. Go away.
Yeah.
So, rip to them. I'll see them in 2 weeks, I guess. If that's how that works. If they don't die.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this winter,
Unless
hey?
it's a
It's
real
just gonna come
rebel.
right back. Yeah. Oh,
This guy's you're putting that word out a little too casualty.
I
but,
hope they heal.
Best of luck to
If
them.
not, a couple extra hours doesn't hurt the bank account.
I'm just like, man, these masks. It just feels like my relationship with these masks has been pretty amusing because like I've had to wear them obviously for a while because of work, but like the first mask I got, it had like these ear adjusters to make it like fit, and I was like, fuck that, I don't want it to be tight on my ears. I took them off, but now it's too big, so it just looked like I was wearing someone's panties on my
Yeah,
face,
just
and it looked
hanging off.
terrible. And like I thought it was kind of funny, so I just let it be. Everyone around me was like, dude, that looks so fucking stupid. To the point where I got like masks in my Christmas like box.
Wow.
And I was
Yeah.
like, man. And even then that one, those ones were so big and puffy. It looked like a little diaper on my face. And I was like, this is terrible. And then I ended up going back and forth. And finally I got a mask that like is okay. But I'm just like, man, I've looked so stupid over the last year. I'm just so over this.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't fuck with masks. I can't like it just taking it on and off with my glasses, I'm immediately fogging up. So I have those ski mask ones where you put it up, and
The
then when it falls
balaclava.
off your nose and you don't do anything with it right away, people aren't like, oh, it
Yeah.
must have slipped. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely put it there on purpose, but like other people don't know that.
Right? Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite thing, but it is what it is. So we had some funny headlines in the news lately that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So Conor McGregor is getting into wheelchair boxing.
Oh
What
my
the
God.
hell
Okay,
is
okay.
this man
It's
doing?
called
So I was,
make money at all costs.
Well, here's the
It
thing.
doesn't matter.
Do you want the kicker right away? It's already canceled. But
What?
yeah, no, he decided, or he's saying that he still needs to heal or something like
Oh.
that. So he's still dealing with his injury.
Shocker.
But yeah, I don't even know if the other fucking guy was in a wheelchair, but it's like some impressionist, and he's a Conor McGregor impressionist, and he's like
I
some
saw that.
comedian. So he's just gonna beat the shit out of some comic, and it was for charity.
What?
That's fun.
I really want to see him
I-
heal up, get good, and then
And then
just
still
go
use
back,
the
just
wheelchair?
get into a wheelchair and fight some guy.
How do you wheelchair box? Do they have to like position the
Fucking
wheelchairs like
swinging
side
the
to
wheel.
side to each
Yeah,
other? Because
hitting
like,
their
other than
cast
that-
legs together.
Yeah, you're just banging cast legs. Because like I don't have the reach to punch Kyle if like my arm barely passes my knees. I'm not
It'd
going
be
to touch
fucking
him at all.
stupid.
Yeah,
Throw him out of the wheelchair. What do you do after that? Like,
Right? Do I just have like a boxing glove on a stick and I'm like like it's ridiculous. How do you even wheelchair
Yeah,
box?
it's that one where you do the arms and just go until one of you falls out of the wheelchair.
That would be so awesome.
That'd be
Actually, I'd
good.
love to watch that.
just
That would-
nonstop.
I would pay to watch that.
That'd be a pure Irish brawl. Like that'd be
Yeah,
good.
that'd
Yeah.
be beautiful.
But I'm over Connor, man.
I
He's,
mean,
he's been too cocky for too long. This
Nah, I
is,
fucking love Connor because
Oh,
He
man.
talks
because
so
he
much
does
shit. I love it.
all he does is shit talk, and he doesn't even back it up anymore.
That's just it.
It right?
fucking
Stop
greatest,
shit,
right?
it's the best.
It was funny because he was talking so much shit. He was backing up like, yeah, fuck yeah. And now
Yeah,
he's
he was
not backing
building
up,
it up.
anything. And you're like, you're kind of a joke, but go get him. And now
Yeah.
he's literally lying on the ground with a broken fucking leg. He just lost. He's like, yeah, your wife's in my DMs. Fuck you.
I'm gonna kill you in your sleep.
Yeah, like he's still talking, and it's like, bro, your leg is broken. You can't even fucking go to the shitter on your own right now. Like, what
Oh,
are you
fuck.
talking
He's
about?
gotta pay off that Lamborghini. He's gotta
Right?
keep that
Yeah.
shit
Like,
going.
what are you even saying? This guy, he's just his mouth is wild, and for the exact same reasons, I love this guy. I think he's hilarious.
I think
Competitively,
his
he's
reign
I love
is
to hate.
over.
Yeah,
Just-
his
it's
reign's
time to get onto something
yeah,
else.
his reign's
Um,
definitely
There's
over.
definitely no middle ground for him. You can't
Yeah.
kind of be like, oh yeah, I don't mind him fighting. There's nobody that just kind of knows him. You
Yeah,
either love
yeah.
him or hate him.
Yeah.
It's great. I just I can't. He's kind of going down that Ronda Rousey path though, where it was like he was the top of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's just completely shit the bed. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's any redemption here.
Well, he must have like his business managers was smart about it. I can't say it was probably him. It was probably someone else telling him. But he's got a bunch of side businesses now, and he's got like a liquor, I think Irish whiskey or something like that too going on. So
Well, he
like
sold-
he's gonna be
He
sustainable
sold
for a long time.
his whiskey company for a couple $100 million.
Oh, really?
Like he,
Which
he
again,
has
that's another
stupid
smart
money.
move. Like,
Yeah.
if you get a good deal on it, use that and
Yeah,
move on to the next
he
thing.
was a
Right?
smart business guy. He
Yeah.
knew talk shit like this, people are gonna start watching, and then
Yeah.
you get the money.
I highly doubt it was him making those moves. It's it's his team doing that for him, and he's just the stupid fucking
Yeah.
Irish
Yeah.
face for it.
That's the thing. Once you get that rich, you're not even trying to do anything anymore. You're just like, here's the
Yeah.
money to put my name on it.
Exactly. Yeah, you have a team beside you making the money for you because they're
Right.
getting paid too.
Speaking of good public image, though, there's this couple out of Vancouver somewhere that
Yo.
has for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, they did wedding photos, but the theme was a slave and their master. So the husband was a black man, and he's dressed in classic slave outfit
It was
attire.
really weird.
And the woman is dressed like someone who lived on a plantation, and he's like swooning her in the cornfields, and it's super uncomfortable to even look at, and I cannot even imagine what they were thinking to me.
Yeah.
This is the first time I think it's very accurate to call that guy a simp. You're willing to take those photos. Just be
I
like,
just-
oh, it'll be fun.
I just
Yeah.
it makes me wonder because, like, you know, I always assume that if someone's doing a strange theme of some sort, it has to do with some level of fantasy.
yeah,
what
some sort
kind
of
of-
kink or something.
What kind
right?
of fantasy are they having? Are they wanting to experience that makes them think that's the theme I want to do for an important moment? And so, like, let's say it's the guy's fantasy. So what is he's fantasizing about what?
I'm
Hooking
a
up with his slave
for
owner?
you.
Stop.
Hey.
That had to be playing the entire photo
He's
shoot.
got like a snake
If not,
around.
they missed the biggest opportunity.
Now I'm just imagining this black dude with a snake around his neck and some pink
Oh.
top. That's
That's what he's
tough.
doing in the bedroom.
That's so tough, Kyle. But like, it's okay. So from his perspective, the fantasy has to be he hooked up with his owner, which is weird considering he grew up in this 21st century and I shouldn't say century. He grew up in this era of the 21st century, and he never had an owner. There's no slavery in his lifetime. So where does that fantasy come from? It's kind of hard to imagine. It's kind of weird for me.
Yeah, it could just be dom shit. He just likes
mean-
getting dominated kind of thing. So.
I mean, yeah, but like putting the slave overtone over it's just kind of.
yeah.
But now we flip it. Okay, let's say it's the girl's fantasy. She had a fantasy about finding a cute black boy that she owned.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty weird, kind of uncomfortable, and I'm really wondering where that's coming from too. I don't know. It's just
Again, I would take that to like just dominatrix stuff, right? But then to turn it into like slave owner stuff, like it's like okay, yeah, just a girl owning a boy or something like that, fun little fantasy. But then like yeah, owning a slave, that's some weird shit.
For me, I want to know how would you react when you show up? When you show up to the studio,
Yeah,
you're like,
did
"Oh,
anyone
what,
know?"
what were you guys thinking about doing? You're gonna go, but oh, you're wearing that? Oh,
yeah, you're the photographer.
You have the chains on? Oh, okay. Yeah, just pose underneath the whip.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
Like-
How would you pose that?
Have you
does the photographer
ever
know?
had something like that where you should not like to that level, but something where you show up and it's like, oh, this isn't what I
Well, you
expected.
have to talk about that, don't you? Like that's just something you don't just surprise your photographer with.
Yeah. I often find people have ideas, but then as soon as I question it, they realize that they have no idea what they actually want, and I have to try and help them figure out the kind of shoot that they want. I find that like usually they'll come to me with an idea, and then as soon as I like try and expand on it, they're like, "Oh, I don't know." I just
We haven't thought deeply about this at all.
exactly. I haven't
Yeah.
actually put any thought. It was just a passing moment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fucked. I didn't even think of like from the photographer's perspective, like
he just shows up. That's
yeah,
so
to
fun.
just either show up or even to be a part of it throughout the whole process of like, yeah, this will be awesome, guys. This is gonna look so good. Like,
right.
look really innocent.
No, stop smiling. You're not supposed to like
yeah.
it.
She just finished whipping you.
I've always wanted to do a
God.
timepiece.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, really weird. Obviously, there was a lot of backlash online. People
Yeah.
were just coming for them. And then the classic online, I didn't realize it was going to be so offensive. I didn't mean to upset people. Like, what? People are so fucking stupid these days. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, just own it. Like, you wanted to do it. That's fine. You're allowed to be a weird fucking guy, weird girl, whatever you want to be. You can be weird, but you put it online and you assume everybody's just gonna like. If they hate it or love it, whatever. You were
Yeah.
willing to put it online. You must have
You
liked
can do
it.
whatever
you
the
couldn't have
fuck
hated it.
you want, but as soon as you put it online, that's
Yeah, that's fair
that's an
game.
open domain, man.
yeah.
Like,
And even though I
Santa
do think
Claus
it
can
was,
get it. Like, you think you're not gonna get it?
he is definitely on the naughty list.
even though I think it was obviously a horrible idea, I also kind of, stand with Kyle in the sense like, you guys got to own this. You got to be like, hey, we wanted to do this, and then not even be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it would be offensive. Just be like, I'm sorry that makes you uncomfortable. But like,
yeah.
that's it. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. I'm sorry that I made you uncomfortable. But like, you can't apologize for doing it if you really liked it.
Yeah.
Like, now you're just backpedaling. It's kind of lame. I mean, yeah, it was a dumb idea. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. These people are absolutely crazy out there. And that goes
Jeez,
into
man.
our next story, which I've been laughing about since the first time I read it. There's some chick on Twitter named Flora Gale, who's a published writer in, I think, some pretty notable things. I think I saw GQ on her Twitter handle. Like, she's been in some very mainstream things. And, the tweet she gave off this last week that just absolutely, I'm just gonna read it because I don't want to
Oh, no.
misquote it.
I know what this is.
Because I don't want to misquote it because it's it's very insightful and it shows a lot of creativity on her end. So she says, someone needs to create porn for children. Hear me out.
I don't
Young
want to.
teens are already watching porn, but they're finding hardcore, aggressive videos that give a terrible view of sex. They need entry-level porn, a softcore site where everyone asks for consent and no one gets choked, etc.
Isn't that just Showtime? Like, isn't that every
Friday
single TV
night
show?
on Showtime?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
There's
know
no
if
more
they
Sears
still have the squiggly,
catalogs
I don't
anymore
know.
these days.
I just like
Yeah, I find that extremely fucked up that she would even go out of her way to post something like that. Because
Yeah.
right away it's like, okay, how do you create that kind of avenue? It's without it being legitimate child pornography. Like, how do you create that?
What do
that
you
just
mean?
seems fucked up.
entry-level porn.
Yeah.
Like
They go on a date first and then they happen to have sex under the covers.
I just feel like it's really weird to almost categorize people's sex abilities too in that kind of way of saying like, oh, you guys are more vanilla, you guys are basic. And it's like, chill. Maybe we're just like, I'm imagining some romantic novel where the couple are just like so into each other's faces that they just like missionary for hours and
Yeah.
it's just like the most intertwined you can possibly be with somebody else's being. I'm like, yeah, missionary for hours sounds pretty vanilla, but like, does that mean that they're basic entry level sex havers? You know what? From my experience, I would say if you're that connected with somebody, you're probably the most veteran I've ever known. Like, it's the people trying to impersonate the porn they're watching that are probably the entry level dummies.
Yeah.
So my take on this one is that she just used the dumbest terminology because porn is an
Yes.
industry. It's supposed to be making money. So your idea is let's make something so that children can make money off of sex.
Right? It's like, let's get entry level cigarettes. Let's get
Yeah.
them addicted to something at an
So
early
it's
age.
it's okay.
Isn't that what vaping is?
the difference would be sex education. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that people want to have in school. You teach them about
I
sex.
feel like she's taking
A
the wrong approach.
softcore sex, not softcore porn.
And this
We
just-
don't need that for little kids.
And Kyle just exemplified another reason why this chick's a fucking moron. His 2-second take just completely dissected her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's wrong direction.
I'm definitely not no English major. Like, I'm not reading and writing no books, and I'm gonna dissect that immediately.
I just
Like-
think it's so funny. Like, porn for kids. Think about that. Like, it just blows my mind that she even thought that was an interesting concept. She is so dumb. And obviously she deleted the tweet, but
Oh, really?
it doesn't
Okay, so
mean
who-
anything.
Who, like, she's written a couple books, or like,
no,
who-
she's
who
like
is
she's
this?
like a writer. She like works for
Okay.
like magazines and stuff, I think.
Oh, so just a fucking nobody.
So,
I mean, yeah, but she's got a check mark, I think. She's got a check mark, so she's
Okay.
at least something.
so now imagine you're like
Huh, that's-
you're sitting there, you're like, "Ah, this porn is too hard. I think kids should have a different type of porn. You're thinking this, and you're like, you know what? I think I should tell people. So you type in, you know what kids need? Better porn. And then you read it over like, oh no, I think I got it covered. And you're willing to press send. And then afterwards, you're like, people didn't like that? Like, people were like, you went through that whole process without once thinking about what somebody else
Yeah.
might think of it.
So
Again, that's someone not owning their shit.
to give
Yeah.
her,
Yeah, if you double down, like 15-year-olds only.
Yes, kids need fucking porn.
Live stream only. We cannot record afterwards.
this is where we're playing on PBS now.
Oh, no.
So to give her credit, her name is Flora Gill. She is a journalist that was in GQ, ST Style Magazine, Grazia, Evening Standard, the Sunday Times Magazine, Radio Times, and she's the host of Times Radio Split Opinion. And she is a she/her from London, England.
Okay.
that's
split
her-
opinion. I'm sure the other guy might be
Because
taking a little different.
I was gonna
take.
say, like, it's pretty easy to call yourself a journalist. Like, you can go on Fiverr and find handfuls of like established journalists, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I did this and this and this for all these companies." It's like you look into those companies, and they're like barely anything. So you have a big list of
Right.
accolades, but they're non-existent.
Right.
Basically,
The only
right?
one I recognize there, to be honest, is probably GQ. Actually, Grazia sounds familiar, to be honest. But like that's
Okay,
all I can
that's
think
fair.
of.
Grazia just sounds like an Italian word.
Yeah,
I think
maybe-
she just-
maybe
I think she just threw that in there.
I've heard that somewhere.
She's just messing with the whites. Like, oh no, we'll just throw in a random word. They'll think it's something cool.
They won't question it.
So obviously she deleted the tweet, but I guess everybody screenshot it and is still talking about it.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I just see her last two tweets now. She says, absolutely not getting swept up into another Twitter cesspool, so deleted the tweet before it picks up steam. I guess it was early on. People were all
I can
over
imagine. That's
She says, obviously not an actual solution, but it's a real problem. Everyone take a deep breath.
Obviously,
Yeah.
it wasn't an actual solution.
And then she follows that up with her last tweet. Apropos of nothing, I really think if someone quickly deletes a tweet, it shouldn't be screenshotted and shared. Like, just let it die, you know?
No, it's on the fucking internet.
No one else agree?
Do you?
And I just think that's too much. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if it goes on the internet, it's there
It's there
forever.
forever.
Don't
Yeah.
delete the tweet and then get mad that it didn't
Yeah.
work.
First of all, there's the Wayback Machine, which is like an archive of the entire internet. And then second of all, if any YouTube video ever gets deleted, go to our data hoarders. It's an entire community of just people who just have terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of just everything on the fucking internet. Someone's like, oh, this YouTuber's getting shut down. Who wants to save it with me? And it's just like, boom, everyone fucking takes it. So there is a copy of everything.
Yeah.
that'll
Is
ever
this
be
your
posted.
first day on the internet? Like,
Yeah.
You didn't think somebody might take a picture? Like,
It's just, it blows my mind that she's that naive. You're a grown woman.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
post on the internet if you aren't willing to actually like stand by what you just said.
that's rule number 2. Rule number 1 is just don't post about child porn.
It's not, we're not
That's
talking
like
about Rule 34
just
here.
that's a weird topic to bring up. That's I don't get it.
So other funny things. Trevor Milton, the CEO of Nikola. You wanted to talk about your
Hey.
boy.
Okay.
Tell
okay,
us what's
so
going on here.
Nikola, first of all, I have to just a little bit of history here. So
Mhm.
Tesla, it's a EV car maker. They're kind of running the show,
Mhm.
but it's like a tribute to the scientist Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
So of course, the second competing brand they made Nikola. Like
True.
how ironic, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they
Very
had these
creative.
like very creative. It's like instantly rivals. But no, they were like giving Tesla shit because they've had this semi in the works for the longest time, but it's like still not being made. And they're like, oh, it's impossible what they're doing. Like it can't be done. And then they showed a video of their semi, and it was driving, and it was like, we have a working model right here, right now, where it's ready to go. So now we have recently found out that semi was plugged into a fucking wall, towed to the top of a hill, and just rode down a hill, and it was just a hollow fucking truck, and they were like, oh yeah, we got this electric vehicle here.
there's a guy with a camera on his shoulder just running down.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah, so it's like he's being charged with 3 counts of fraud. And then even something to do with
Wild.
like he was like doing money transfers through the company to
Oh
like to
my
him or something like that,
God.
where it was pretty fucked up. So of course the only big rival to Tesla is now like a complete shell company that was completely made up, didn't even exist.
That's
crazy.
so funny. Like,
Yeah.
that obviously just helps Tesla because now everyone that was invested in that's like, well, fuck, I might as well just
Well,
go
okay,
back to what
here's
I was
another
doing.
weird thing. So this news is like relatively recent, but their stock is still at like $12. Like it's still there. So I don't get that. I don't know if people are just trying to short it now. It's kind of still hanging around.
Right?
But
Everyone's like waiting for it to drop so they can
yeah, so
short
that they
it.
can make a bit more money. But yeah, it's weird. It's still there, and people are still kind of buying into it for the most part. But yeah, it's really fucked.
Strange. I wonder if it'll even go up a little bit because people want to like buy into it to try and short it more.
Oh, probably. That's kind of what happened with GME. It
Yeah.
it shot up. Everyone saw that it shot up. Everyone sold. Everyone saw that huge drop and like, oh, it'll do it again. Then they all bought into it again, right? So it probably will go up again, but it's literally there is nothing. Like they're buying a shoebox with a wall socket in it.
That's so funny.
So
Yeah.
like
so waste.
the thing I can't comprehend is people trying to check Elon Musk on his intelligence. It's like, you think he's just not trying to make the semi? You think he's just kind of like letting it go? It's just sitting on the side, and you're just gonna swoop in and do better than him? It's like, yeah, he has a lot of shit on the go, but he's fucking doing it all. Like,
yeah.
it's not just him. Obviously, he's got so many people working under him, but he's started the vision and he's putting people in the place. Stop checking that guy.
Yeah.
Like, find a
Well,
new
even
target.
the Tesla Roadster, it's like it's gonna have literal rockets in it or something, like
Yeah.
air boosters or something like that.
That's
Like the thing is
gangster.
insane. But people are all like, everyone's saying or implying that it's never gonna happen, it's never gonna come, and it's like, yo, it's fucking coming. Like it's gonna be there.
Can you imagine being like a teenager? 'Cause, like, say you have like a rich daddy or something, and be like, "Hey, yo, girl." I'm just kidding. I never talk like that. But yo, I got boosters in my car.
Yeah, hey.
Y'all
like,
got double boosties. What's going on?
like all I can think of is just like those douchebags in high school that had rich parents and just showing up with these literally rocket powered cars, and you're
Yeah.
like, what is this world?
that's what Tesla creates, is things that you wouldn't like. Every time they make something new, it's like I would have never thought of, like, even the idea of the Tesla truck.
The fucking
It's like-
Cybertruck.
The
It's
the whole
disgusting.
idea of a
It's my
truck
dream
is
truck.
to be an
Oh, yeah.
asshole, spray black smoke at the guy behind you, throw your cigarette out the window, and now you're sitting there plugging it in and driving it down the freeway with no
Oh,
worries.
no,
It's
bro.
the craziest, and I know, and it
From,
also has a 4x4 capability.
From
It's-
an engineering point of view,
crazy.
they took all of the qualifications that you need in a truck and they put those first and they just fit everything in afterwards. So the body is like secondary. And I find that so fucking cool. So the Roadster, just to put it in there, goes to 0 to 100 in 2.1 seconds.
That's wild.
That's insane. That's insane.
That is
But
wild.
it's, yeah, I think it was even pushed back even further because now there's more demand for the Cybertruck. So they're not doing the Roadster until like late 2022 or
Yeah.
something like that. Or but
They're
yeah,
like,
we'll see.
fuck it, it'll show up.
Exactly.
You're
Not
gonna
gonna
book.
lie.
You're gonna try and order it. It's gonna be here in 2024 anyway. Once you decide to
Yeah.
order.
Well,
So-
Elon Musk, he's got like I don't like to fanboy though, I do all the time, but he's got like a golden touch, man. Like everything he works on just kind of takes
It
off
just
kind of thing,
works.
right? So from his point of view, it's kind of like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Like it'll happen, and when it does happen, everyone's gonna come and buy it. So I don't
Yeah.
really give a shit until that time happens, right?
Right.
So if he needs to push something
He's on
back, he's
his
gonna
own
do it.
schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm just trying to go to Mars right now, so I'll work on your little baby car in
Yeah,
a minute.
I'll work on your car.
We
Oh,
take
you
a
want your
fucking
little
break.
fast car, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Here's
trying to
a
become
couple more-
Emperor fucking Musk.
Here's a
Right.
couple more non-flamethrowers. Here,
Exactly,
Just take them
Right?
for it.
Like no one
Yeah.
asked Tony Stark to stop building suits and start working on cars for the average
Yeah.
person. Like, geez, why are we asking anything of him?
Yeah.
Low key though, I really want a Tesla. Like, I really want that to be my
Dude,
next car.
I'm getting a Cybertruck. Like it's in my DNA.
Yeah, you need to.
I don't know why. I
Even
want one.
when you described it, you're like, I love the fact that they don't care at all about the appearance and only care about what's on the inside. I'm like, that's such a statement from you.
Right? Like I seen memes and we're like, where did the design come for this car? And it's like 1990s 3D like
Yeah.
shitbox.
the DeLorean.
yeah.
1980s fucking like Tron designs and stuff.
It's
Like fuck
disgusting.
yeah.
It's-
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. But on the topic of scammers like this Milton guy,
Yeah.
do we think Disney is a scammer?
Oh,
Relating
this
to the
is
Scarlett
juicy.
Johansson thing, just to update all of those regulars, you know.
You're trying to big league how nerdy we are. Like all you people that go out and play sports and shit.
Well, I think I saw something that I laughed so hard. It was like talking about people that go to like these movies on like, 3 weeks later during like the day instead of going to like midnight premieres, and I was like, ugh, I have to go sit here with all these filthy casuals. And I just like,
At least I'll let him know what happened.
I saw so many. But anyways, so obviously the Black Widow movie came out, and I loved it. Kyle, do you have any feelings on it?
I liked it. I somebody was trying to critique it, telling me they're like, "Oh, I like it, but it's kind of like John Wick, where it's just a lot of action." I'm like, John Wick's a fucking fantastic movie. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it
how
was
are
a
you
great
gonna
movie.
critique it with John Wick?
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome. I liked it. It didn't have like the craziest of story, but I liked what they had for it, and then the ending was pretty good.
I think what made it, Matt, I'm assuming you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. Oh.
Yeah, and also lack of desire too. But I think what made it different for me is without leaving Marvel's realm, they made another type of movie that they haven't really done before. So like they have, their space operas, they have their their espionage movies, they have their obviously big huge war movies, they have their more political ones like Civil War. Like they always and then like high school comedies like Spider-Man movies. Like that each one kind of has its own little niche in the movie world
Yeah.
and sci-fi, but they're all still Marvel movies. And in this one it was kind of like that family dynamic that we haven't
I
had.
think we lost Matt. I think he might have
Get
fallen
some
asleep.
notes ready.
Okay,
getting
he's
some
getting
notes.
notes. Okay, I was just making sure you weren't on Twitter. He's
This
out here
guy's like, fuck
reading
this.
up on Tesla
fucking
again.
next.
But
Wake
it
me
was
up
just
when
like
you're
a
done.
cool family dynamic that we haven't gotten to see. We got to see like how things started, and I just thought that was cool. I'm not gonna go much deeper into the movie, but they released it on Access Premiere on Disney Plus, and it was $30 to buy, and now you can just watch it whenever you want, which is great. Except it also released in theaters, and now, from my understanding of reading a few casual articles, because I didn't look that deep into it, Scarlett Johansson's contract has compensation based off the movie sales.
Yeah.
That being said, she was not told by Disney that the movie wasn't going to be only in theaters. It was also going to be on Premiere Access, because obviously Premiere Access cut a lot of people from seeing it in the theater. I didn't have to go to theater. I would have been forced to go to the theater because I would have watched it anyway because I'm a Marvel dick suck. But like, if I went to the theater, cool, it would have been money in her pocket. But I didn't, because Premiere Access was way more convenient for me,
Yeah.
and I could watch it the morning it came out. So,
So to quickly break down those numbers for you, because I got my little notebook here.
oh, Indiana
With my little
Jones.
facts. But so the movie came out. It set the box office record for pandemic release with 218 mil. But the thing about it was that it wasn't all just from the box office. That also counted the Disney release. So the breakdown was
Interesting.
158 from theaters and 60 mil to the Disney Plus.
Mhm.
And in what she said, the reason that they're in the contract negotiation kind of thing is that her contract said that it was going to be a theatrical release, which has typically meant it gets released in theaters, and then 90 days later, everything else is open. It can go to DVD, Blu-ray, whatever it's going to
Okay.
go to.
Yeah.
But because Disney Plus owns it and they have their own brand and they've been doing this throughout the pandemic, they just put it through at the same time.
I see.
So she gets paid out of what comes from the theatrical release from the box office, but not from the Disney Plus.
Mhm.
So like 60 million, not every single one of them would have went to the theater, because like me, I wouldn't have went to
It
the
was
theater because of the
convenience
kids
factor.
and everything.
Like, yeah.
But probably a good 30 to 40 million out of that she's not getting that she would have potentially got as part of her profits.
Interesting.
So the big thing that I see from this is I feel like there's probably a bunch of movies behind this that also had the same thing happen but don't have Scarlett Johansson's name. Like for instance, Cruella. It released same day theatrical and on Disney Plus. I imagine Emma Stone had the same deal.
No,
And-
I'm pretty sure most actors don't have those kind of deals.
Where you get profits from the box
I-
office.
I think
it
her
really
and a few other
depends.
people. Yeah, like it's not
Yeah,
something that's a common
it
practice.
might
but,
not be. I'm not
yeah,
sure, but
I think that's why she's making a big deal about it, because she does have it. Right?
yeah.
But yeah, I find that so crazy. I feel like Disney was like, "Fuck you, it's a loophole." Like,
And
Just
and
what are you gonna do
That's
about
what they did immediately after. Is say once you did that, they're like, well, this is kind of callous of her to not care about the pandemic, that the COVID's going on right now, and we can't be forcing everybody into theaters. It's like that's got nothing to do with this. This is business.
Yeah.
You wrote down you were not doing this, and now you did it.
yeah,
And then they're like, oh well, she already made 20 million off this, which you're not supposed to just air people's fucking money out there.
yeah.
But they've got the big dick in this. They've got the most money. They've got the most power. They just happen to be running against Scarlett Johansson. So something it's not the exact same, but similar happened a couple years back with Taylor Swift and Spotify, because she had her music on Spotify when it kind of first popped off,
Mhm.
and she felt it was ridiculous that some people could watch Spotify for free and then get everybody's music, and then nobody was getting money off that viewership at the beginning.
Okay.
So she pulled her whole discography off and then slowly would go back. But then she was doing basically a theatrical release where she'd put her album out for sale all over the place. And then 3 weeks later, she'd allow it onto Spotify and other streaming platforms.
yeah,
So I feel like that's what kind of Scarlett Johansson's looking for, is like, hey, we as artists, we made this. We're the big name. We deserve to have a little bit of time to make the money. You're going to have this. You own this forever. You're going to be able to make money for as long as you want off of this. I only have a short period of time. You shouldn't be able to take advantage of that.
yeah. Man, if it's in the contract too, like that's all it comes down to, right? Like they
Yeah.
clearly they breached it by trying to say like, oh, these are different situations, or this is a different situation, so we get to make different rules.
Yeah.
It's like, no, sorry, you can't just do that.
And then they said that, oh, well, this this will probably help make more money because of having our brand name on it. It's like, it's
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson and Marvel. Like,
Yeah.
she was making her money. If it wasn't made by Disney, I'd still be there. Like, it's not,
See,
doesn't matter.
I think the other thing too is, you know, when did Disney Plus start? During the pandemic, right?
Yeah, it's not too old.
It's been around for like a
This is
year.
what I said.
which means
Disney
we're-
started the pandemic.
Would-
They dropped COVID-19.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So we're at what, 3 or 4 or 5 maybe movies that are all premiere access. That's like pretty, you know, relatively unprecedented before this last year or so. When they were making her contract, because I'm pretty sure this movie was supposed to release last year, they just didn't because of COVID,
Hmm.
which means a Marvel movie probably takes like 2, almost 3 years to actually make, which
I would
means they
assume
probably
so,
would have
yeah.
signed contracts and any of those details out 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
3.5 years ago, was she thinking that premiere access was going to be a way for her to get fucked over? Probably not.
No.
Did
not at
Disney have
all.
it in their back pocket? Probably, but they weren't going to say shit. And now they signed a contract. And what's she going to do?
Yeah.
Theatrical release?
I think it's the way of the future too, though. I think all of the bigger names are just going to start coming out with their own platforms, basically. Like I think even Discovery, they're coming out with Discovery Plus now. So all of the Discovery Channel stuff, it's just going to be a streaming platform.
Mhm.
So it's just all going to be streaming now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
In that same way, Nat Geo is on Disney Plus.
Oh, really?
So
Hey.
same idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it just means Disney needs to just keep buying everybody up so that I can have all my
That's-
movies
that's
in
all
the
they
same
do.
place. But
That's true. Yeah, because I don't want like 12 subscriptions just so I can
No.
But
watch
see-
the 90s version of different TV channels, basically. But
Right?
now you just have a limited access to each channel.
That's
Man,
the bullshit
fuck.
part about Disney Plus, though, is that we pay our monthly subscription, and then a new movie comes out, and we pay $40. Like I can
Yeah,
go to the
that's
movie
wild.
theater for cheaper, and I'm already paying my fucking membership. Give me
Yeah.
my movie. Like, what
Money
am I here
grab,
for?
man.
you're here for all the other movies, Kyle.
And the convenience.
You'll get the
You're paying
movie
for
eventually.
convenience.
I'm
Don't
paying for the convenience already.
Yeah.
I don't need to pay more.
Up until Disney, it was
It's crazy.
if it wasn't on Netflix, I probably haven't seen it. Like that's how my life has always been.
Yeah.
It's like I haven't gone to a movie theater in many
Yeah.
moons. It's been
Yeah.
a while.
Low-key, I miss theaters. Theaters were a big thing for me just because like Marvel, even like Harry Potter when it was coming out still, obviously that's dead now. And like Star Wars movies, like going to watch those in theaters was
Yeah.
like, it was like my entire month was made just
Yeah.
doing that one time.
Yeah, it's a
Even
fun
with
time. I just don't do
Marvel,
it, man.
the movie ends and you're sitting there and you see people leave like
These
you
filthy
fucking
casuals.
idiots. You
There's
wait,
always
you wait your
something there.
5 to 10 minutes, and then a bullshit scene comes on. You're like, well, I guess I saw it here, so it's okay. I can leave now.
Yeah. But like that's the thing. Like just going to see the movie the one time in the theater could have made my month. And it was like this entire year I've never been back to the theater since
Yeah.
it started up.
They're open now, right?
I think they're open now, but like I mean until Premiere Access stops. Because I know like there's a couple Marvel movies coming out that they're like no Premiere Access. So I'm gonna have to go to a theater. which
Until
means I'll
they
be back.
force me off of my couch, I will not go. You think I'm paying full price for this popcorn and pop beside me? No, sir.
See there, you're saving money, man. You think it's more expensive up front, but you don't have to pay for that fucking
Yeah,
popcorn.
you know what's always beside a movie theater? Dollarama.
Yeah, at a fucking candy store.
It cost me $4.55.
Yeah,
to
everyone
get
at the
any candy I
theater-
want.
Everyone at the theaters always thought Kyle was obese because he's just like in a hoodie with packed with
Yeah,
snacks.
yeah.
They don't know he's skinny
Yeah,
actually.
never
Middle of
do
the
leg
summer,
day.
huge fucking jacket on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fucking
man.
classic. Moving on, we had some people in a prison nearby. Most people will probably not know where this is, but anybody
Oh,
that lives
yeah.
near us in this great British Columbia, there's a prison out here that has got into the local headlines because the prison staff posted medical information of the prisoners on little carts in the cafeteria, visible to everybody. Now, reasons why that's problematic is it lists things like their prescriptions and any kind of drugs that they're taking for medical reasons. And, you know, prisons, they use a lot of things for leverage and they use a lot of violent tactics. You know, now people are subject to getting, you know, pressed for, it's like, yo, give me your whatever you're taking. I want it. Now they can get threatened for the prescriptions that they have.
Yeah.
Pretty problematic. Matt, you had some feelings about this.
Well, I mean, fucking. Oh, okay, so it's a minimum security prison, but I mean, it's such a hard thing. I'm so on the fence about it, I guess, because it's like you're in prison, like all of your rights are gone, like you're fucking there because you decided to break the laws. So why do you get to now uphold the laws in your specific situation? So like on the one hand, like I do get that, like it's an actual security breach where these people could potentially get murdered over their prescription drugs, right?
Mhm.
But man, you're in prison. Like, go fuck yourself. Like
So-
too bad, man.
Ruthless.
So my pushback on that is that it's not something where it's like if this prisoner wanted to sue this prisoner because they did something wrong, you're both in prison, like figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But this is somebody that technically is in charge and has not done anything wrong, and they're out doing like the guards or whoever is doing the breach
Mm-hmm.
is that person should be liable for what they did because they say that they're not in prison, they have all the rights that they need, but they have to abide by the rules that allow them to have those rights.
Yeah.
So that person doing that breach, at that point, they should be charged as well. It's not
Potentially, yeah.
it's not because of it doesn't matter who it affects, whether it's a criminal, whether it's a regular person. It's just the fact that you did it in general.
Yeah, it could be something as simple, like it could just be a misunderstanding where the person in charge of the prison is like, you got to post these papers or you got to hand them out to the actual prison members. And then the guy is just a fucking idiot, some security guard. And he's like, oh, okay, perfect. And he just has a big piece of paper and just posts it in the middle. And he has no idea, right? Realize it's a stupid idea. But
I feel that.
that's
but
probably
being-
what happened.
But
But
being dumb
not an
doesn't
excuse.
count as an excuse,
Yeah.
especially in that position. And I think that's where the biggest fault, because you said it's a low security.
yeah,
prison.
minimum security.
So whenever you talk about like police, security guards, anything of that stature, it's always dumbfounded me that people like treat it so casually where dumb guys can get in. It could just be a job. Like, oh yeah, I'm
Mhm.
just a security guard. It's like you're in charge of keeping people alive.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're good people, bad people, doesn't matter. You're in charge of keeping them alive. You should be held to the highest regard because of that fact. But we allow anybody to be a guard. Like if you're big and you get 3 tattoos, you've passed all the prerequisites. you can be in there tomorrow. And
Yeah.
that's just asinine because something like this can happen. It could be easily explained as something dumb that you wrote the wrong paper on the wrong sheet, and now people could potentially die. They're not the greatest people.
Well, I
but
feel like
it could still happen.
So I feel like it's probably blown out of proportion because if you think about it, what kind of people are in a maximum security prison? Murderers, things
Yeah.
like that. You would never hear about something like this happening to all of those people. But who's in a minimum security? Lawyers, dirty lawyers, people who know how to abuse the system. So someone probably found out about this. It probably wasn't that big of a deal. Posted in like one small area where a couple of people who were probably already hanging out together all the time anyways, maybe there wasn't even any bad information on there, but because that scenario happened, now the story is about the potential of what could happen and not what actually happened.
I like
And that's
that.
a
I
lawyer
like that a
tactic.
lot.
So it's a minimum security prison. Lawyers go there.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people that are there. So
Okay,
they're trying
okay.
to take advantage of this. And I'm like, I'm just saying like this
No,
is a potential. But
no, you're right.
That's kind of how
100%.
I
This
see
is
it. Of
exactly
like,
facts.
it's probably so blown out of proportion, but there's someone who knows how to abuse the system, and now here we are fucking talking about it.
Yeah.
When it's a bunch of prisoners, like
Yeah.
people who broke the law, and now they're also manipulating the law, right?
This is an episode of Suits. And I love
I
it.
fucking love that show.
That was my favorite show. When they cut out Mike Ross, I was like, "Fuck this."
Suits and
I
Mad
can't do
Men. Those are my jams.
I think the thing with the prison too is because I also have a really hard time having really any sympathy for anything wrong done to prisoners. Like, yeah, obviously there's human rights that need to be considered. I don't think they need to be subject to getting like tortured or anything like crazy like that. But at the same time though, it's like, oh, maybe it was like you said, maybe it was like accidental, wasn't
Mhm.
malicious.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't really care, to be honest. I think you're probably onto something. It was
Yeah.
blown out of proportion. It just, what are you gonna do? Are we gonna give all these prisoners hundreds of thousands of dollars because their personal details were leaked? Fuck no,
Yeah.
they don't get shit.
Yeah.
Maybe fine the prison, maybe. I mean, that's almost counterproductive too, because if you find the prison, that means they have less funding. That means the prisoners get
Yeah.
less stuff.
Yeah.
Now they get shit on more.
Yeah,
So what are you gonna do?
What's the end result?
I
Well-
feel like, yeah, you got a bit of a public outrage, but for what?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's just gonna shrug their shoulders.
Oh, well, I guess we better let all these prisoners go.
Yeah. And
they got us.
so like, who cares? Like, nothing's gonna happen. You're not gonna anyone that's in that prison. You're not getting a shorter sentence. I don't know why you're acting
Yeah.
like this is gonna change
Yeah.
anything. For
I
you.
relate it to like when you're in grade school and you have your grades posted on a piece of paper of like a big test. It's like everyone can see it. It's like, oh, this is so embarrassing. I didn't do very good. It's like, yeah, but what's gonna happen? Like,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? It's like, oh
So-
no.
The only thing I would say is that, yeah, obviously them getting out of prison because people know that you take insulin, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But that person that leaked it, having something happen to them, like some kind of disciplinary thing where they have to either take a course, or if it's to the level that everybody's making it up to be, maybe he does need to be fired if he was dumb enough to post something in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
But the prisoners, all it should be is if there's anything that was posted that could actually affect them, like this person takes Adderall for whatever. Now that's gonna put a target because that's a kind of can be called a street drug.
Yeah.
So you take precautions to either move that person to a different prison or whatever. Money, you're not gonna get money for nothing.
Yeah.
It's like all that stuff doesn't matter. Just keep the person safe that was compromised and deal with the person that compromised them. That's
Yeah.
it. No more than that
See,
needs to be done.
I feel like if this was in America and it was like a higher security prison, I bet you shit like that happens all the time on purpose to like perpetuate the prison culture where it's like the guards are kind of secretly in on all of it, right?
Yeah.
So they post that shit so that the other members know who to fucking kill and who to beat up to keep drugs being passed throughout
Yeah.
the prison, right?
And if my knowledge of prison TV shows has taught me anything, it's that you need your top dog to know what's actually supposed to be there and what's not.
Yeah.
What if it's a bad drug? What if it's a good drug? They need to know.
They
so
need to
can
know.
regulate it.
So you just accidentally leaked that information
Yeah.
through the kitchen?
Yeah,
Top
exactly.
dog knows now.
Yeah, throw a little note in the scrambled eggs and we get it cooking.
Though Kyle said something that made me think of, would be actually a really good punishment that would be like actually piss off the people that work there, that would make them like regret their decision. Make them go to like 2 or 3 like education courses on their own time. Can you imagine how fucking frustrating
It's
that
the
would
worst
be?
thing in
They have
the
to sit there
world.
for like 2 hours, like 3 times a week. It's like, so you did. Now you have to go to an acceptance course. I'm just like, fuck.
This is like prison, man.
that would teach them, because I would hate that. I remember when I was in college, we had one kid who, not a very smart guy, he tweeted some very insensitive thing on Twitter about homosexuals while he was currently living in a residence run by homosexuals. And the whole football team had to go to tolerance and acceptance training. And
No way.
I was like, this is brutal. And honestly, it was tough. Like we've talked about how football is sometimes trapped. The locker room talk is trapped years
Yeah.
in the past. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, hey, let's just do this and get it over with. But when they get to the part where the instructor is like, all right, now what are some things that you've been called before? And then you start looking at your boy and be like, pussy, bitch. And you start like going off on them, saying anything you can.
How
and
much
now,
time do you have?
yeah, and now all of a sudden she's writing them on the board. So now,
no.
and now we're filling up the board with see how many disses we can get on the board.
Oh.
And half the room's killing themselves laughing, and I'm sitting there like, did you guys think this was help us?
Yeah.
Did you think that this was the answer? Like, you need to talk to like a few guys about this one issue, and the rest of us, it's just a waste of time here.
Yeah.
And these other guys, they're not even like, they're like, I did nothing wrong, I'm forced to be here. They're not even taking this in. I'm just like, it's tough, One of the biggest wastes of time I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, any kind of blanket like, oh, you guys did this, you all have to go, is never gonna work.
Right.
You can't teach 45 people the same
Right?
thing
You're
at the
asking,
same time.
you're asking 20-year-old
RIP the
guys.
entire fucking education system.
Honestly.
Just putting everyone in one room at the same time. All right, everyone learned everything at once.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
But yeah, also 20-year-old guys in a room. Tell me everything you've ever been called. To make fun of you. Oh,
Like today?
Yeah, in the past 5 minutes, like in the hallway.
Every guy's like,
Yeah.
let me see.
Stage one.
Yeah, it was brutal. Anyways, moving on. Kyle had a story he wanted to talk about. The
what's that?
gentleman that is going to COVID court, which is a
Dun,
new
dun,
TV
dun.
show I just made up.
Dun, 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 dun.
And I like,
Wait, that's
despite what we'll get to why he's there in a second, but one thing I want to acknowledge right out of the jump is how they media wants to quickly make you have a certain type of feeling about him by
Their
noting a
headline.
fact that is completely irrelevant to why he's in court, is that he's a flat earther. Now you can think what you want about flat earthers, because I know what I think. But in all fairness, it has nothing to do with why he's there. They're just using that to make
Yeah.
everyone think he's a fucking idiot before
Just
he gets
proves
there.
that he's like clearly superior. 'Cause
Yeah.
He knows the truth.
Like, if he's an idiot, that will be explained by why he's there.
yeah.
But just because he's a flat earther, that has nothing to do with what
Yeah.
he's doing there. But that's
Well,
in every
he-
headline.
He was at a flat Earth convention, and that's where he was coming back from. But still, he could have been in Miami and coming back.
Yeah.
It didn't make
He's
any
going to the
difference.
club or something. Could be doing
It's still
anything.
a COVID restriction thing. But yeah, they were going to be like, hey, just so you know, nobody's on this guy's side. Now read. Now read it.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
That's a good way
Yeah,
to put
it
it.
so-
really was a little slippery, I thought there. Despite the fact that I also don't like flat earthers, I found that quite the slippery headline that they like to
Yeah.
use on him. But go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, so the dude's name is Mac Bahar, and he refused to do the quarantine after he came back from the States from his convention. And so he went to jail for 4 days, and then he's choosing to represent himself, which is always a dumb decision.
Ballsy.
Always. There's never a time that has worked out great.
It's very disrespectful to all those that go to school.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
you don't think they
the-
learned anything?
Like the closest was like Ted Bundy, and he still died. Like you're not gonna win. Like this isn't gonna happen here. But so he chose to do it himself. But basically they said he's a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like they're just
Yeah, just
saying
throw that into
they
it.
throw
Of
that
course he
word
is.
out there as if anything can count as that. But basically he says, like, his whole statement right after was like, they're trying to quarantine the healthy, and you gotta be a bunch of clowns to fall for this. And it's like, you're already really helping yourself. Oh, I can tell all the lawyers around are like, he doesn't need us. But
They don't want the case anyway at this point.
yeah,
This guy
they're
doesn't
like,
shut
yeah,
the fuck up.
He's gonna lose this one.
Right? Like,
But he made a couple points about it, like that these things don't make sense. Like, he got his yoga studio got shut down in March. So this all happened in November 2020, and in March of 2020 he got shut down, and I believe a big fine, because he was ordered to shut down and he kept it open and advertised that the heat will kill COVID. So come to my yoga studios.
Oh God.
Which is like, yet again, dude, like, if you believe flat Earth and you're still trying to figure that one out, at least try and do a little bit of the math. Like, it's like 1 month into COVID and you already got the cure.
yeah.
Like, nobody could figure out that the Earth's flat, but they could figure out the cure. That stupid.
yeah.
But so he gets shut down, and then he goes on his escapade of saying how COVID is phony and like the vaccines won't work, masks don't do anything, all the usual suspects. But everything that he said, anytime that he made any point, the headline got me. I can't get past flat Earth. You
Yeah.
paid how much money during a time that it's hard to get flights? It's extremely hard to even travel city to city, and you were convinced enough to go to the States to a flat Earth convention. Like, you can't tell me anything that is gonna trick me into thinking you're a smart individual.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
It's really tough. It really is. And I think, it's not even like, I guess I don't care what his political beliefs are. Like, whether he thinks the vaccines are a joke, whether he thinks COVID's a joke, whether he thinks all of it's a big fucking lie. It's that part is almost irrelevant to me too, because it's not. So like, I watch these shows on YouTube that are basically people auditing police officers in the States, Fourth Amendment auditors. And basically the simple concept is they're doing something that they know is legal. They're waiting for a cop to come and bust them and tell them what they're doing is illegal so they can record them, complain about them, sue the city for money. And
Stand-up individual.
and say it's all just, I'm just trying to educate the police so that they can be better police for the whole community. No, you're just trying to get a quick buck,
Yeah.
which is fine. Do what you want to do. It's what they're doing isn't illegal, so I really don't care. But it's almost like the same philosophy that they do that with kind of applies in this situation. By that I mean, whether you believe what the police officer is doing or what the government is doing is right, that's up for debate, and you can go to court and you can argue your case and you can present your evidence and your findings and whatever, and you can do that. But in the moment of regulation, when they're telling you to stop doing something, if you don't follow the law, you will be punished.
Yeah.
It's simple. And it doesn't matter if he's right. It doesn't matter if he's right and the government's been lying this whole time. The judge, the police, the whole justice system will still fine you, shut down your business, and now he's gone to jail for it. He's completely fucked himself. because he just couldn't get over his ego and his opinions, and he just like ignored the law. He's an idiot. Like,
Yeah, that's
it's
the
complete
that's the
waste
biggest
of his-
issue I've had with this. Of like the people who are so dead set against it, their conviction is so strong, and they have their own version of science and everything. And it's like, but we live in a society kind of thing. Like we all have to play by the same rules. Like you still have to jump through the hoops. You have to do all this shit because that's how society as a whole moves forward. We can't just go into fucking anarchy because you think
Right.
that it's all made up. It's like,
And even if it is, there's a way to do that. There's a
Yeah.
way to go and, there's a proper channel to
Yeah.
file complaints and create change and do all that. Breaking the law only serves to fuck you over in this era. This isn't the French Revolution. You're not just going to kill all the rich people at the top and then we're going to reconform our society to a new kind of democracy. It doesn't work like that.
yeah.
You're going to only screw yourself over, screw over your family, financially screw yourself by now. He has no business. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
He's probably gonna have a hard time getting a business license now because he already has problems.
And a criminal record.
Exactly. It's just,
This
something
is
making it
where I really like the idea when they made that city Chaz. When they took over that little block in Seattle and they're like, we own this. There's no police, there's no government, this is ours. I like that idea. Let all the people that want to just, like, you want to have your own thing, go there. Yeah, you can't keep your house because, like, odds are that guy's going to kill you for it. But it's okay. You do you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm completely fine with that because I believe everybody has a right to their dumb idea.
right? It's all
If
king
you-
of the
you
hill in
wanna do
there.
it, yeah. And that's the thing. You should be allowed to have that. There should be places where you go and it's no longer like a place in Canada, like say New Brunswick. Who the fuck cares about New Brunswick? We'll block that off, and that is no longer part of Canada. That's under Canada's regulation to make sure that like they don't milk over to other places. But you go there, you no longer have to follow the rule of law. You no longer have to follow our
That's like
government.
dystopian futures, man. That's
Yeah,
like the
it's-
exact setup of a brave
It's
new world.
literal anarchy for the people
Yeah.
that don't want to follow societal rules. It's completely
So-
fine that you do that. Just go there.
Something that I really like about the word anarchy. When people throw that word around, they assume like no rules, like you can fucking light cars on fire and stuff like that. But the actual meaning behind anarchy is a governmentless system where it doesn't actually need a government in order for it to maintain its function. And there are possibilities, or there's possible avenues that society can go down where eventually we become an
Yeah.
anarchy type system. But people hear that word and they just assume of like, oh, if we were lived in anarchy, then I'd walk out my door and I'd be fucking murdered. And it's like, well, I don't know. The Wild Wild West was essentially an anarchy
Yeah.
type system, and people got killed, sure, but it's still, they made fine.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to happen every day. It's just that there is a possibility.
There's the possibility, but
There's still human nature that says, don't do mean things and people won't do shitty things to you.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way that I look at anarchy because I don't like the idea of government as much because like government overreach. Like there should be like the basic rules. Like if I'm in trouble, there should be somebody in front of us, like police, that you can call. Anybody can call to come and take care of you. You put your money into it. Firefighters, ambulance. But outside of that, like or maybe road work. Outside of that, everything else is kind of be good, get good, be bad, get bad.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the government should take care of everything else.
They have a bit more control than they need, but that just fucking reminded me, Dustin, what was that anime where the fucking people had those guns? And okay, that's what I'm thinking of right now, where they you can't get elevated or something like that because then you're considered a criminal. How
That-
fucked up of a world would that be?
That show was intense. I'm trying to think of the name of it and it's slipping my mind, so I can figure it out in a minute. But basically, it's called Psycho-Pass. That's what it's called, Psycho-Pass.
There we go.
So anybody that
This is a
has been like
weird future.
thinks like anime is weird and stuff, I'm telling you, like
It is.
of all the, I
but
mean,
it is. It's still
there's some,
good.
there's definitely some that are out there. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
but
own it, and
but
go.
but this one anime, I honestly think it might be one of the coolest TV shows I've ever watched. Period. Has like anime or not, like live action, it was dope. So basically, in this world, there's these cameras all over your city, and basically what they're scanning you to see your Psycho-Pass, and your Psycho-Pass basically is two things. There's like your hue, which kind of is like a surface level mood. They can tell like depending on your face and stuff, your body temperature, like Are you angry? Are you calm? Whatever. And if they can see like, hey, a group of people are all getting really red here, maybe we should send out like our police or whatever and see what's going on there. And the police have these guns, and these guns measure your crime coefficient. And that crime coefficient is a value that goes into your psyche and basically can tell like how close you are to doing something bad. Now, if you're thinking about bad things, it will register that as you have the potential to do bad things because you're thinking about it. So like you're sitting there Googling how to, where do I get chloroform? Where do I get duct tape? Where do I get all these other,
Just some
tools?
science experiment, but
You're clearly thinking about something.
Yeah.
It will be able to know that you're thinking about that, and your crime coefficient will go up. If you killed somebody, obviously you're like, oh shit, like, I just killed someone. Your crime coefficient goes up. And so what these guns do is they measure it. And let's say like a base level would be like a 30. If you're at like 30, you're just chilling every day. That's how you walk around. If you get up to like 100, now you're like in need of emergency therapy, they call it. So their guns are detected. So once you hit 100, they'll unlock the safety, but they're only in stun mode. So they'll stun you and take you to emergency therapy. But if you start getting higher, you get to like 200 or something. Now you're you're a criminal, right? They're thinking you have the ability to do something really bad.
Yeah.
And that gun is judge, jury, and executioner, and it goes into execution mode, and they're instructed to kill you on the spot. And so naturally, you have, even if I'm a cop, if I kill you, that's going to be a lot on me too. So they have hounds, which are basically cops that have already killed people, and they're latent criminals, which means they have the same coefficient and same mentality as the criminals, but they only kill who they're supposed to kill, and they're under the watch and under the supervision of the regular inspectors. And the inspectors are like the good cops that are probably newer, maybe they're older, but they haven't killed anybody. They're just like there to be the real detectives and be in charge, make the good decisions. But like when people need to be killed, that's when the hounds, they're the ones that kill them.
Send the hounds.
But like it's just crazy to think like,
man,
there's
we
a
already
certain part.
like most of China already has that technology, basically.
That's wild.
Of just like a society being watched, and there's talks. I don't know if it's in effect yet or if it was just they were testing it out, but they have like a social currency where if you do something like deemed bad. Yeah, I don't know if it's fully in effect. It's just things I've been reading about for over years.
That's a Black Mirror episode.
Exactly, man. Yeah, but yeah, if you're doing something that's deemed bad, your social currency goes down, and then you're deemed lesser to everyone around you because everyone else can see your social currency. So then it's like you want to do better and to like act like the proper societal member.
Yeah, that's
crazy,
literally
man.
a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, dystopian futures. I find that stuff wild. I love
But yeah,
it.
it's just crazy because there's one scene where they kill somebody, and then everyone else starts seeing the person get killed, and they all freak out. And then the cop ends up seeing all these people with coefficients go up. He just starts killing them too, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then there's it's not really like a spoiler if anyone wants to see it, but like the main villain in the first season, he's a psycho, like a legitimate psychopath. So he'll kill someone, and his coefficient doesn't go up at all because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So now what? Now your gun doesn't work on him because it reads 0, and he just slit someone's throat right in front of you. What are you gonna do? In their world, they're not trained for that.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's such a crazy concept, and the show doesn't have any of the like there's a lot of things in anime that I find annoying or like weird. This show doesn't do those things. This show is pretty serious, and it's very well done, and it's so digestible compared to like some of the more out there anime. So if anybody's like not into anime, this is one that you can probably watch.
Good entry level.
Yeah, this one is really cool. And it's not like super weird or over sexualized with like fucking anti-gravity boobs that just like float everywhere. Like it's not like that at all. So
tentacles, big
we're
eyes,
not
and big
watching
boobs.
I was like,
You
I'll
had
pass
me.
then.
and never mind.
I was this close. I was this close.
Speaking about the mental state, Simone Biles backed out of some Olympic competition this year because of her mental, and Kyle had some feelings. So go ahead, Kyle.
Well, it's more than just feelings. It was just kind of looking at the way the PR team dealt with it. It was just horrendous because what ended up the main reason that she's having the mental health problems is that she's on Ritalin for ADHD. She has been since I guess she was like around 6 years old, and this was somebody hacked her file and exposed this all at the last Olympics, and she went on and had to explain, yes, I have a medical exemption through the Olympic Committee. They all know. So it was all on record. But in Japan, Ritalin and Adderall are considered like a methamphetamine, like a drug. So they're illegal. You're not allowed to. Only certain people can have them for certain reasons. And she didn't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't have any of her Ritalin for this time, which for anybody that doesn't know, it's supposed to help you focus so that your brain can kind of focus on one thing instead of all things at the same time.
Yeah.
So with that, a common thing that happens after going off of it cold turkey is kind of getting the spins and a little bit of vertigo. Flipping 4.5 times in the air and having a little bit of spin or a little bit of vertigo is the difference between like being the greatest of all time and dying.
Yeah.
So when she came out, she said, I had to back out because I have mental health issues. The way, when I looked at it, just a person sitting on the side that saw it was like, okay, so you had like the last 3 heats that you've been in, you haven't done your greatest. And now you're going to come out and cop out saying, oh, I have mental health issues. That's what the issue is. And I'm like, that's a terrible way to say it. I felt like that was a cop out. And then the next day she's like, well, I actually backed out just because I wasn't doing the greatest and blah, blah. It's like, okay, that sounds more accurate. And then just a third-party source, I find out about the medicine. It's like, that's perfectly reasonable. If you can't have your medication that lets you be a normal person that you have always had, that got you to this elite level, that got you to the point that you can do these things that most human beings have never done before, and you no longer can have that thing to keep you normal, that is an actual mental health issue that you can't go against.
Mental health is such a taboo, though. Like it's getting more and more accepted, and more people are talking about it. But still, it's such a taboo because you have one portion of people where it's like, oh, sorry, I have mental health, I can't come into work today. It's just like, fuck you, no, mental health, sorry. But then you have other people who are like afraid to talk about things, and they would rather diminish their public image than actually openly talk about a mental health issue that they have.
Yeah.
Like her saying like, oh, sorry, I just wasn't doing so good, so I had to withdraw.
Yeah.
She took that stance and actually went out of her way to not talk about that. And then it gets leaked anyways. That's unfortunate because of the decision that she made. But that's how big of a deal she was taking it, where she would rather have her image tore down a little bit than actually having people know about this.
Well, I think
that's
it's
crazy.
It's almost, society to blame in a sense, because like you said, like willingness to let your personal character be judged than to let your diagnoses come out because of stigmas and other things like, what do people think about people that have to take Ritalin to deal with their mental focus? Like, oh, they just have and people can criticize that.
Yeah.
She would rather have people just think that, oh, she was just a sore loser and she just sucked. You'd rather people think that.
I find that crazy. She would rather have people think she's just a shitty athlete,
which
than
is
to actually
so
know
against
about
her character, because she's such a high level performer. And the thing is it's one thing to be talented, but to be at the level she's at, where she's not only talented, but she's also cooking the competition in every category at the highest possible level, more than any gymnast ever. And she's just like, what, the one time she's obviously not competitive anymore?
Yeah.
Like, people like that have such a deep-rooted competitiveness. There is no quit for that reason, because I didn't do well.
1,000%.
It's just all that is refocus. So for the public to think that was an acceptable answer, like, oh yeah, she just sucked and that's why she quit, I think that just like, that's not an acceptable answer, because it's not believable.
Yeah.
Like Kyle said, if they were open about it, everyone would have totally backed her and probably, but at the same time though, the stigmas are there. Now she's that person with insert, and people still look at people with mental health issues that, oh, you were diagnosed with something, boom. Now that's a problem.
Sponsorships, things like that. Let's say she goes on to become the best. It's like, oh, well, we know you have this diagnosis. We don't really want that kind of person with our sponsorship. Like,
so I think I wasn't exactly. This came out 5 years ago at the last Olympics, that she was on these medications already. So it had already came out. It was just that she just didn't announce it at this time. So it already came out.
Yeah, that she had it.
So people already knew, and that's how I found out about it. Is that it had already been kind of leaked.
I think I understand now.
And I completely agree with, like, especially what you're saying about she wanted to take. I'm gonna take the high road. I lost. I didn't do good. That's it. I don't want to blame the issue.
Yeah, I still stand by that, because
my thing is the PR team. It's just like Conor McGregor. He he could have taken a loss and be like, hey, that really sucked. It was my bad. But his PR team's like, hey, you know how to make money? You know how to keep your name at the top? And he's losing.
Yeah.
She's the winner. Like not like one of the best or like gonna be in the top 5. She's the best. The last competition she went to, she stitched a goat onto her outfit because she is the greatest of all time. Let your PR
Gangster.
team take over and be like, hey, this is the issue. This is it. That's it. I understand that this might be weird to some people, but I have a mental health issue. I have Ritalin that I take, and I cannot take it right now.
Yeah.
So I have to back out and let my team have a chance to win it.
It
I
goes-
believe USA can still win it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm an idiot, and I came up with this, and she must be paying somebody millions of dollars to like keep her image up.
Mhm.
And they let her go out and just die on a sword instead of telling her a
This
better way to
goes
go.
back to you've mentioned this a couple of times, but you have to own the things you say, man.
Yes.
Like it's just you
Mhm.
can't be afraid of what other people are gonna think. You have to like, this is my stance and I stand by it and I'm gonna follow through on it, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as it goes out into the public image, or as soon as the public hears about it, that's when the backlash happens. Like, oh, sorry, I didn't really mean to offend people. It's like,
Yeah.
no, sorry, this is how I stand. This is what I fucking say.
Yeah. And I felt like
Now
a
what?
fucking idiot when I found out she was on the message. I'm like, the way that she said it, it sounded like that person that called in sick because they have a mental health issue. All
Yeah.
it was they had anxiety because they were drinking till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like that's all that was. But that's what it sounded like when she said it. When like you look at it, like obviously that's the reason I took the second take. She's the greatest. She's been doing this. This is the Olympics. Nobody just walks away from the Olympics because they like just don't feel it that day.
Mhm.
Like you get to that level because you're the best. So like you have to take the second look, but it's always just easier to tell people the first thing. It's like somebody making a false story on somebody, then a month later putting a retraction. Nobody's reading that. They only know that false
Yeah.
story for the rest of that person's life. They don't know that they got acquitted or anything like that. So it was not her fault. She's literally in a different mental state than she probably has been since she was a child.
Yeah.
But she should have a team around her that can kind of take care of her in those situations.
Yeah. I see what you're saying about the PR team, because yeah, like I also don't necessarily think it's good to necessarily shame someone for saying they have mental health. Obviously, I know that's not anyone's trying to say that here, but I saw a lot of people online saying like,
Yeah.
oh, she's a quitter because she didn't stand up for her country and stuff like that, and it's that stuff to me. I'm like, you guys are obviously tripping. Not going to pay much attention to these people's takes because they're obviously not that smart.
You didn't even stand up to send that tweet. Like, shut the
Yeah,
fuck up.
right. But you know, like Kyle said, she's in a different mental state, and you know, she shouldn't have like, even though it probably would be easy for all of us to understand if she just told the truth the first time. But is she required to explain to us what's really going on with her? I think is another conversation itself. I don't think she has to explain shit to anybody. When you've done what you've done at that point, even if you haven't done all those great things, you don't deserve anyone an explanation. You can do whatever the fuck you want to
No,
do.
it's very true.
And if your mental health is suffering because of whatever reason, you're not required to tell the public why, or you're not required to tell anybody. I mean, you take it to a ground level and say, like, my friends and family, like, if I'm going through something, I'm not required to tell you. I might share with you because it might be easier as my confidants and my people that are like love me, but you're not required to say anything. And like you said, the PR team kind of just saying that and not really like, I don't know, it's like they said that and then didn't really back her further than that. I don't know.
It
It's
just
just
seemed
weird.
like they just kind of wanted it. They didn't expect it. Obviously, it was caught them off guard. But that's even worse on them. It's like you knew they were going to Tokyo. How long have you known? And you didn't take a look. Like, hey, this drug that was brought up at the last one, because
I mean-
people look at it as because like for instance in college football, if you're on Adderall, if it's not prescribed to you and you take Adderall, it's considered a performance enhancing drug.
Yeah.
Because it focuses you and you can get suspended for upwards of a year, like kind of minimum from school. So when it got exposed that she was on Ritalin, that's what people were trying to say is like, oh, she's cheating. She's doing this in that way. So obviously she had the medical exemption. She had it for her proper reasons. But now if I'm your team and I know this has been brought up at the last Olympics, I'd be kind of focusing on that part to make sure everything's right and clear with that. But you did so little research that you didn't realize she couldn't have the thing that makes her function for the some of the biggest moments of her life. Like obviously it's just a sport, but it's the Olympics.
Well, that
And you
could
didn't
even come
cook-
down to like it's not a defining feature of her. It's just something that helps her maintain her function. So it's
Yeah.
just like a secondary thing for her, and it's her entire team, however big it may be. They're probably not sitting there going, "Oh, Adderall, we need to figure out this Adderall situation. We need to look into it." It's like, I bet you half of them were kind of like, "Oh shit, she's on Adderall?" Like, and I didn't even know
Yeah,
that, right?
But that's what I
um,
mean is that like if that's your job, it's like having an assistant that doesn't know
Yeah.
what you like in your coffee, and they continuously go to the restaurant and get the wrong coffee.
Yeah.
If you go to the Olympics and you have the wrong coffee, that's for some people that's a career. You could lose your career by having a bad Olympics. She's great enough that she can overcome it.
Right.
But this is a huge moment for people.
How many of these Olympians actually have big PR teams and stuff like that? Is this something that we know about or anything? Because I know
I
that
would
like
assume
it's
basically
handfuls.
the top
It's
Americans
handfuls.
probably the only ones.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
fair. Because it's
the-
like
the
these people
top
aren't
of the
movie
top.
stars. Like the food there is subpar. Like the living conditions subpar. So you would assume that these people probably don't have this big team behind them, kind of maintaining their image.
Yeah.
But
Most of them,
I just
especially
don't
like the
know
younger
enough.
ones, it's like their first time going. It's only the multi-medalists, the Usain Bolts, the Michael Phelps, the
okay, yeah,
big time, the
Yeah.
Simone Biles. Those are the ones
Andre
that have
DeGrasse, like all,
Yeah.
all the big names,
Yeah.
they have it because of the sponsorship behind them.
Fair enough.
It
Okay,
almost
yeah.
has nothing to do with the Olympics again because the Olympics just take advantage
It's a
of
fuck
them.
fest.
It's a fuck fest. They take advantage of the people. They don't pay them. But
Yeah.
once you get to the top, you can get the sponsorships on the outside. So
Yeah.
now your brand is tied with the Olympics.
No, that's very fair. Yeah, you're an Olympian at that
Yeah.
point. That's part of your brand image. Right?
Yeah, you're
So-
no longer an athlete. You're an Olympian.
Um,
That's perfectly
yeah.
said.
I guess to recollect my thoughts, I guess I wish the PR team would have done something more to the effect of, Simone saying something like, Simone's one of the greatest athletes of our generation. If this wasn't serious, she wouldn't have stopped competing.
Yeah.
You should understand that personal issues are personal for a reason. And that would have been enough of a statement that no one would have questioned it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Because
think
we all
that's better
understand
handled.
she's that good. She's that competitive. She's not weak. There's
Yeah.
nothing. There's no weakness in her. And even because I said mental health, like some people think that's a weakness, but to acknowledge your mental health in a public forum is one of the strongest things you can do.
Yeah.
If they had just said that, they don't have to say, even though it's
Yeah.
public record, they don't even have to say it. If they just
Yeah.
said something like that, like trust us, it's not what you think it is, or like trust us
Yeah.
that this is serious enough that that this is the right call, we would take that in good faith. But for them to just be like, it sounds like, I mean, I don't have it in front of me and I don't have like a full scope, but it sounds like it was kind of just like, oh, it's just mental health, which can lead to the misunderstanding that we all hear from our coworkers. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, he says anxiety, doesn't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like,
Yeah.
that's
Our lives around basic regular people. Those people are in a different kind of level mentally than
Yeah.
what we're used to seeing.
And like Matt said, like that is a thing that people in this era do. They have slight social anxiety and they try to compare it to somebody who has crippling anxiety
Yeah.
and can't function normally, and it does hurt their day-to-day life. Those people are dealing with something way worse than the person just like, oh, I just don't like being in public places.
Yeah.
Like it's different.
The victim mentality.
Exactly. Like I get anxiety too, but I'm not going to get diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Like I'm talking online to everybody. Like I'm not dealing with
Wait,
that.
people are listening.
But like I'm not dealing with the same thing, even though because I experience anxiety doesn't mean I'm dealing with anxiety like
Mhm.
somebody else that's taking medication for it
Yeah.
will be. So because we can all still put it under this big umbrella of, oh, my mental health, like Matt said, that's a thing that common people do and take advantage of the system that we're of good faith that we're having here. But like you said, the PR team really let her down by not giving us, hey, she's competitive. She's one of the best ever. Do you really think we would have pulled out if it wasn't the best thing for her?
I'm
in this
thinking like
moment?
if I'm like an average American, just like patriotism, America, watching the Olympics and this person drops out because they're just not doing good. It's like, yeah, I'd be pissed. It's like, what about America? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I need my fucking gold medals. Come on. So I'd be a little bit pissed. But yeah, to actually like to explain it better without having to say like, oh, she has
Yeah.
mental health issues, but more along the lines of, hey, this is a very serious
Right?
situation.
Like-
Like it's we're not taking this lightly.
This is who we're
You
talking
need to
about
understand
here.
this.
This is not just some
Yeah.
average. I'm just not doing so well. You think she's a loser? That's how she got to the top? No,
Yeah.
because she took every L that she ever took and she spun it into this fiery, burning passion to absolutely murder you
Fuck
at
yeah.
this competition.
Yeah.
she's not just like, I just didn't do that backflip. I'm done here. Like, what?
Olympics are stupid.
She's one of
anyways.
the best ever, if not the best ever at what she does. And you're going to discredit her by thinking she's weak because she just didn't want to? Give me a break. I agree with what you said. The PR team really screwed the pooch there because they
Yeah.
could have really let the people know what's going on without actually saying anything.
Yeah.
And we would have taken it way differently, I think.
Okay, so I don't know how much time we have. It's about an hour 26.
Yeah, we should
but
probably wrap up soon.
okay.
Got a little bit more. I got a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
Yeah,
myself.
I'm torn. I feel like we should do more podcasts, but shorter times. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I want
but-
more podcasts, more time.
Yeah,
More
but
time.
okay. So
More
let's
mic time.
let's
We can
keep
break
going for
them
a
up.
little bit.
Yeah, let's feel it. I'm feeling it.
I wanted to keep something along the lines with the Olympics, but did you guys hear about the transgender weightlifter who was in the Olympics? First ever. She's from New Zealand, I believe. But there was this big issue because it's like, oh, well, this transgender
wait,
woman,
Is she now a she?
he is now a she.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, he transitioned into.
So I'm guessing gold medal.
No, they failed the
Oh.
first 3 lifts and didn't qualify at all. So
That's a sleeper cell.
and that's where the big publicity is going in, because it was this whole thing where it's like, oh
Yeah.
well, obviously
How did you
that
do that?
like she's gonna win, like she's gonna be at the top of her game because she has a higher testosterone, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it turns out that she didn't do anywhere near as good as even she had hoped. Like she was like
Yeah.
wasn't happy about her qualifications for the most part. But it's just kind of crazy because I believe when they all get tested or something like that, she has to have a certain level of testosterone. She has to be below that just to be allowed to
Yeah, I
compete in the first
imagine,
place. So she was well below it, but yeah, everyone still assumed it's like, well, if you have the muscle memory and the muscle mass behind it, you're just going to dominate no matter what. So
Yeah.
I found it interesting because then on the other hand, there's 2 runners. I don't remember their names, but they weren't allowed to run in the maybe 400 meter race or something like that because they had higher levels of natural testosterone.
Yeah.
So they weren't allowed actually competing in those races. So then they were able to do the shorter sprints. And from my understanding, I'm pretty sure they did pretty good or won or something like that. I don't know if you guys know much
Yeah,
about it.
I heard about it kind of in passing, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that it was just like the biological female just has higher testosterone than normal,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, well that's too much, and it's
Well,
like,
and also, like, how do you measure that?
Yeah.
Is there like a specific way where it's like, oh, this testosterone is natural.
Yeah.
This testosterone is steroids.
Well, I think over history, they probably have never paid attention to that. They're just trying to find the best way to regulate trans athlete rights.
Mhm.
And measuring testosterone levels is seemingly, at this moment, I guess, probably the only way that they can think of to do that.
Yeah.
But now, because there's no perfect answers to this topic, now they're running into, well, women have high testosterone levels too sometimes.
yeah. They're
And
like,
now-
wait a second.
Right? Like, this has
Something's fishy here.
never been a problem until this decade, and
Yeah.
now these biological women kind of got screwed because they 100% should be able to compete.
Yeah, but
regardless.
they're not allowed because
Should they be tested for, obviously, putting testosterone in their body?
Yeah.
Of course, but like if they just have naturally higher levels, that's just their natural body.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a interesting argument, I guess, because like maybe this whole transitioning thing, it's like, well, if someone who is transgender became a fighter or just any like Olympic athlete or anything like that, it's like, well, maybe they don't really actually have that competitive advantage. Like maybe the transition just changes something, or who knows. But it was definitely this thing where everyone just assumed like she's clearly going to dominate, right? But yeah, it didn't do as good as she thought she was going to do. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
lights were too bright. Lights were too
Yeah,
bright.
yeah.
But yeah,
I wonder too, because you assume all these people are basically putting in a preemptive excuse that she's going to win because she was biologically a male. It's almost more disappointing for that athlete because part of them was probably thinking that they were going to destroy too,
yeah.
and
and
that,
now they took an L to a bunch of people that they thought that they were going to kill them in this
Yeah.
competition. Now they just took an L to them.
Uh,
And they had this stigma that they had the advantage. It's like, how much more poorly are they going to be viewed because of the loss?
Yeah.
People are already going to view them poorly if they won the whole thing. Now that they got destroyed,
that's those lights.
So-
Like you get out in front of everybody, and everybody says you're gonna be the best, but you've never been there. Like that, I don't know the person like from like any of the if she had been into any Olympics or anything beforehand, but if this is your first Olympics, and they're like, oh no, this person guaranteed gold.
yeah, because they have all the advantages.
You have
Yeah.
all the advantages. You're clearly better than everybody that's in there. So go out there and win it.
I mean,
now it's on you that you have to show up and you got to do everything they said. And
That's
you're
a
gonna
lot
have
of
it in your
pressure.
head. You're like, I don't know if I should be able to do this. I
you look
can't
at a
do it,
picture
right?
of her, and you would probably make that assumption. It's
Yeah.
like, she's gonna win.
and that's what I mean. Like
she's
it's
a thick lady.
she's probably more than capable of doing it. But
Yeah.
lights are lights. Like once you get out there, like there's different every type of athlete, baseball player, football player, basketball player, where they're the best practice player anybody's ever seen.
Mhm.
But when it comes to game time, they can't put out that same thing because the audience is there, the crowd's there, people are watching, and they don't have there's something in their head that makes them kind of lower themselves when the lights
Yeah.
shine bright. That's why the greats are always like recognized when you see a LeBron, a Jordan, a Tom Brady. When the lights are brightest, that's when they show up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always those people that fall down, and this is that person's first time probably being considered one of the best in their category in anything in their entire lives.
Yeah,
That's a lot of pressure.
that's a
So-
really good point.
They might win next time. They might
Yeah.
fucking crush it if they get used to this pressure. But like you can't just pretend that if you turn a guy into a girl, they're gonna beat everything because it's not just physical. There's
Yeah,
so
no,
much
that's
more
such a good
shit going
point.
on.
Yeah,
I think the other thing I'm thinking of too is how, because you said they were a power lifter.
Yeah.
So I guess they win based off who lifts the most weight. That's
Yeah.
how that works.
yeah, pretty much.
It's I
But-
think it's like three different weight. Three
yeah,
different
the total addition of all of
sizes.
them.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you add them all up.
But the thing with like soccer, yeah, maybe the better team won today, but the better team might not necessarily win tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're lifting weights, like, can you lift 50 pounds? Yes. Could you lift 50 pounds yesterday? Yes. Then you probably can lift 50 pounds tomorrow as well.
To the most part, there's
Like, do they push how far they go? I guess is where I'm going with it.
Yeah, because like even like back when I used to do training, doing deadlifts and stuff, like it's not very often. I'm always trying to hit my PR, but I can't do that every day. I can't do that every week. I can do it every once in a while if on like a really good day. So you're just trying to condition yourself so that you're at peak performance on that one day, so that you can hit those PRs, right? Because that's essentially what they're all trying to do. They're all trying to either break a previous personal PR or they're trying to at least compete with everyone else's PR, right?
And it makes me wonder how far along the list was their PR
Mhm.
out of competition.
Yeah,
Like-
that's a really good. That's a point.
like,
a
does
good
this
question.
athlete, does she have like the highest PR out of all the athletes coming in? So there's also that, hey, out of competition, you've performed the best up to this point. Or was she lower on the list and someone that maybe won gold had the best PR out of competition? Like, I don't know who the athletes
No, that's
are. 'cause I
that's a
think that
great
also-
question.
That also plays into, does she have the advantage really?
Yeah.
Because if she had like huge crazy PR and like what, she actually lifted that much, no one else is even close, then that would add to the, obviously she has the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But if she had a pretty comparable PR or a lower PR to the other top athletes, it's kind of like, well,
Makes sense.
shit
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens. You could just not be the best that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what. So what? I guess that's where I'm at too. Like, but like we're not talking about somebody who's like everyone's listing 300 pounds and she lifts 500. Like it's probably nothing like that. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. That's that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah.
So the switch up thing that I was gonna bring up is mostly a question for you because you watch a lot more movies than I have, and so Matt Damon had an interview. We're not gonna talk about the FT use in his house. We're gonna call that out. That doesn't matter. It's a stupid statement anyway. But he had brought up how kind of in movies right now, because of how big Marvel's gotten, the remakes of old Disney movies, and it's killing the idea of a movie star, like where like the Matt Damon's, the Leos, the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, like they're the staples that are in every huge movie that you see. You're seeing it because of them and the character they're creating.
Mhm.
Whereas a lot of the new movies, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark or Chris Evans as Captain America, and you're looking at it as not just that person, but the character that they're playing
Mhm.
a lot more. And I wanted
Instead of like the Rob Schneider is.
Derp de derp de derp de derp.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
but basically he's kind of saying that there's not going to be the next generation of movie stars, and I just want to see if you agreed with that because
I think that's a good thing. Fuck movie stars.
I would say I agree, and I also think it's a good thing. Fuck movie stars.
Yeah.
No, I don't necessarily fuck movie stars, but okay.
I wish I fucked movie
I guess
stars.
my immediate take.
we
Clip it.
definitely have that better mix.
I guess my immediate take on it is it does nothing but serve to benefit the community as an artistic whole, because
Yeah.
we're not looking at a movie that's only popular because Tom Cruise is the lead in it, because Tom Cruise was basically Tom Cruise in every Tom Cruise movie that's ever Tom Cruised. So really, what are we watching here? Do I really care about Tom Cruise that much? I'm going to keep watching his movies, or do I want to watch new movies with new characters and new people I haven't seen before? Now, if these new people get a chance to show that they have talent and that they have an ability to bring a character to life, like Marvel and Disney, Marvel not so much, but, sorry, I don't know why I said Disney, I meant Star Wars. But like in Star Wars movies, they typically go after actors that aren't known to the public, that aren't big names already. There's obviously a few exceptions, but for the most part, the biggest stars are usually like side characters, and the characters that are the main characters are relatively unknown or have very low experience. They're trying to have that character be at the forefront, because it's easy to watch a character and be like, wow, I really love Rey. She's great. Who's Daisy Ridley? I don't really know much about her. It's cooler for the experience than being like, man, did you see that movie Suicide Squad? Yeah, Will Smith was Will Smith, but he was cool, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
what was his character? I don't remember, but he was just Will Smith.
Yeah.
Because that's what Will Smith does. If Will Smith's in a movie, he's basically just Will Smith.
Yeah, you can't pretend to be something else.
He's
anymore.
not. He's
I feel
really
like
almost
it's-
never anybody else.
It's always going to be like that, though. I feel like we're on the edge of this like paradigm shift within the world of like everything's kind of changing, and all of the top level stars in sports and movies and all these things, they're all kind of going to the wayside, and there's this newer generation of new stars happening where it's all people who are just essentially nobodies and just all of these characters that you don't really recognize. So then they start going in other movies because their actual skills are kind of showing up, not just their personalities. So then you're
Exactly.
starting to notice these people more and more. Then all of a sudden, 10 years down the line, they're the new Tom Cruise. They're the new LeBron James kind of thing, right?
Exactly. And I
But-
think you could talk about the hipster culture of, having the new. You could talk about the internet increasing discoverability. You don't need, in the 80s where everything is marketed by a big company, and these companies produce the big acts and everything. They produce the big movies, and they just engineer it to just be shoved down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the internet find the new people that we want to be famous. The Billie Eilishes that come out of nowhere, out of a basement, and all of a sudden she's like the biggest singer in the world right now. The Olivia Rodrigos that come off TikTok, and all of a sudden she's one of the biggest stars in the world right now. Like, these people come out of nowhere because of the internet, because of what we choose to watch and listen to.
Yeah.
And now in these movies, they're finding new people, and if we like that person, yeah, we like that. We keep going to see their movies. We support what they're doing. But we're also watching new movies to see new people, because you want to keep seeing something fresh, something we haven't seen before, because we've seen so much. And like, especially the last 30 years, how many remakes come out in movies?
Fuck.
It's like
All of
every
them.
second movie is a remake.
Yeah.
I'm almost hard pressed to watch a movie and be like, wait, even though I haven't heard of the remake, is there one though?
Yeah.
Like, you'll probably find something. And so it's like, how do you even find find new fresh things? You don't really see that anymore. Like, we're still trying to find that, but you can't even say Marvel's fresh, because it's all coming from comic books. These are
Yeah.
all rehashed stories. Like, none of this is
Yeah.
original. The latest Star Wars movies, yeah, sure, they were redone, but also they were redone off of a 40-year-old property that's already established as the biggest in the world. You're really not coming up with much new. You're just,
Yeah.
let's regurgitate something else. Like, let's recycle it. But it's still the same thing. So was it new? How many original things are there out there? And so movie stars, all they do is serve to create unoriginal things, because it's the same person. They can only be so many different characters.
Yeah.
And if you have a movie star, that person's gonna demand a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if they demand that amount
Demand
of money,
contracts and shit for
the
movie rights
contract,
and-
they want theatrical releases. They
Yeah.
want all the money from all the movie that actually comes out. So now you have to have a guaranteed amount of money you make. If you make an original movie and it flops, you still owe that money to the main actor or actress,
Mhm.
one way or another. So if you know that Lion King 3D is gonna sell 180 million, you're gonna take that, even if you have a better idea that could work, because of the fact it's a guarantee.
Mhm.
So movies, just the fact of having a movie star and the movie budget, you have to make money off of it.
Mhm.
And that's where I think the movie stars are transitioning into TV stars. Whereas like back in the day, being on TV meant your career was over. You were
Yeah.
Tobey
you were there
Maguire.
for like yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And so with TV shows, you have some of the like Game of Thrones was ginormous, launched tons of different careers. Like just for instance, Aquaman, Jason Momoa. He was in some other shows,
Yeah.
but that's where he popped off. He was on for like less than a season,
Yeah,
and he
honestly.
becomes Aquaman. Like I said, and the reason he's Aquaman is because they had so much money, they had to make a movie about something that's already established. But in Game of Thrones is where he made his name because they can actually develop a story. Because like kind of like what one of you said about discoverability, what for me, I enjoy learning about people and seeing what they're like. So like I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I feel like I'm a part of the conversation that they're having. When I watch a movie, I feel like I'm just getting a snippet. It's like a Kodak moment of that person's life in that time,
Mhm.
and I don't really see any of the backstory. Whereas
Mhm.
you watch a TV series, you're watching it for 10 years. You're seeing somebody go from a 20-year-old to a 30-year-old. You're seeing how their face changes. You see
Yeah.
every part of their life change.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's where we're at now. We actually care about people and the things in the shows. So a movie doesn't cut it anymore. I'm not going to sit down and watch a 10-hour movie to get the whole person's life, but I'll watch 30 hours of any like Grey's Anatomy. I've probably watched hundreds, like 200-300 hours of Grey's Anatomy, and I haven't noticed it because it's just been progressive over the
Mhm.
last like 17 years.
Yeah.
It just happens. And I care about those characters in a way that I could never care about a movie character. And I think that's why the movie star is dead, because people never cared about them.
Well, and
They were there.
You
They were
see
the only
shit
ones
like all these huge actors and stuff. They all have TikToks and everything now, and they're all like pushing content because they need to be relatable still.
Yeah.
Because now there's so many other options to go off and be entertained by other things. Where back in the day, it was like the way to be entertained is you watch these big movies with the big stars. Well, they're not as important anymore. So now they have to push the algorithms too, and they have to push out content on their own just to make sure that people actually still like them, right?
yeah.
So it's pretty
Like-
crazy.
Even with to transition it from movies to like music, there's different like DJs are available everywhere now. Like there's not just a certain person that you can go on the radio, this DJ's playing and you have to listen to their music. Like shout out Sarah Pica Music. Her she's a Twitch DJ, friend that we grew up with. She's got like crazy amount of followers. I like hundreds of thousands, I think. Like she's up higher now, but
Nice.
couple weeks back she did the Calgary Stampede, and she's going there. She's not, you've never heard of her name. You didn't.
I don't
It's
know.
not in the news. It's not in like the papers or anything. But because of word of mouth and the availability of people starting to like her and the amount of hours she's put in, she was able to get this kind of like big thing
Huge
that's
gig.
known in Canada. Like Calgary Stampede. It's not like Steve Aoki. It's Pica Music. And she just did that from her house, just decided to be a DJ, and now she's doing that as like kind of a step into the kind of like big limelight.
Nice.
So
It's huge.
that's where you don't have to be a star anymore. You just have to be somebody that people care about.
And that's
Yeah.
like relating to these people is a big part of social media and why we follow all these celebrities. We want to see what they're up to. And like Kyle said with Grey's Anatomy, it's like you care about the characters. Like, you know, the writing and the development of the character is always going to reign supreme in a movie. And then you think about the past, a lot of these movies, like if Rocky was a one-off movie, would it have been good? I mean, I guess it was good for its time, but honestly, like the story's super basic and the acting's trash. So, would it
That was
be
cutting edge back then.
would
though.
would it be the legacy that it has now? You know, or is it because there was like 6 movies we got to see a character at least get fleshed out more than just, you know, I don't remember his wife's name, but he's like, hey,
Adrian.
Adrian. Yeah, he's just fucking. It's all I remember him fucking saying. He's fucking stupid
That's
movie.
pretty much all you could say.
But at the very least, they got to flesh out his story over an arc of several movies, so it meant something. Even like the Die Hard movies, like there's a long ass movie series too. There's like 4 of those as well. Would the one-off? Yeah, it made a lot of money, but developing those characters is what makes these movie stars keep coming back and stuff like that. Like one-off movies, even with a movie star, no one cares about them after a while because it's just like you said, it's just a flash in the pan of like, here's their existence. If there's no implications of remembering their story and caring about their story for a future property, it doesn't really matter. Like,
Yeah, and I guess with that, like kind of with the, how am I trying to say this? The one-off movies, but they also create the characters something like Superbad or This Is the End, where it's the same kind of cast, or Happy Madison with Adam Sandler, David Spade, and all them. They all kind of play the same person, but you can tell they're doing this just for fun. They want to just hang out, make a movie together, and you want to see it because you like them. It's not because you're looking for a character, you're looking for a certain thing. You like what their dynamic is going to be, so you can see them grow into the different movies where oh, that's a throwback to Waterboy. That's this and that. So you're still building it even with the one-offs, and they're willing to take those chances on the originals because if it flops, they're just paying themselves.
Yeah,
They're fine with it. They don't have that big name in front of it. Disney isn't the one producing it, so it doesn't have to make money for those executives.
there's also, you got to think about the content there. They're selling you comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy comes from us, from the people, from what I can project to you with my words and how I deliver stuff. You're talking about like Tom Cruise. Well, now we need to invest in a fucking Boeing 3700 or whatever the fuck they're called, and now you just gotta rent out the airport. You
We gotta blow 4 of them up.
Yeah, so we got to put in
here's-
all these special effects. There's all these dollars behind it that they need it to be. You need to have something there before you can really commit to buying this production, paying for this production. Whereas half these David Spade, Adam Sandler movies, it's like you said, it's the boys going to the cabin for a weekend. And we don't really. They're funny, so the dynamics there, so we want to watch it. But like, did we really care that they went to a water park and it was them for the weekend and they all grew personally? We didn't give a shit. It was just
Yeah.
funny or it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so here's a comparison. So, Mission Impossible. If there was any other actor in there, would you go and watch it? Or is it like Mission Impossible is Tom Cruise kind of thing, right? But then you have 007. Like that's been going on and it's been the same movie over and over and over, but it's gone through different actors basically, right? Where it's kind of like the character has always been the same and the actors have changed throughout, right? So I find it that's two pretty interesting ways to perceive a movie of like what part are you actually going to see? Are you going there specifically to watch the person play that role, or are you going to watch the role be played by the person?
see, I think the James Bond comparison kind of shows that you're interested in the character,
Mm-hmm.
and that if the character is interesting and you care about the character, you'll keep going to watch it.
Yeah.
And in that case, regardless of who's playing him over like 100 years almost, it feels like.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, if it wasn't Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 1, if it was someone else and the movie was good, you would have gone to see the second one. And now we're 7 movies later. If people liked the character and were invested in that character, yeah, they'd keep going to see the movie several times over.
Yeah.
Like,
If all of a sudden you change that character, the movie would be dead.
right? Like how many,
So
It's
Fast and the Furious.
I was just gonna say Fast and the Furious.
We're on 9.
Shit actors. All of them suck. But do you care about any of them? Of course not. Like I don't even like Vin Diesel. I don't give a fuck. What else has Vin Diesel done? Groot and Triple X.
Triple X.
Like, give me a break. Do we really care about Vin Diesel? No. But those movies, people that like those kind of movies, I think they're trash. But people that like those kind of movies love that series, and they're gonna go watch it regardless of who they cast in the latest role, whether it's
Yeah.
The Rock or if it's whoever that side black guy is that hates The Rock in that movie. I can't remember what his name is. He's got like, I don't even remember his name, but him and The Rock have beef. But one's a megastar and one's not. But it doesn't matter. You watched all the movies without The Rock. You watch it with The Rock. You don't really care because you cared about the characters and the story and everything. And if Tom Cruise wasn't Tom Cruise and it was just some regular actor, then that movie, if people liked the story, they would have cared about what's his name in that movie. I don't even remember.
That's the thing.
It's
I
Tom
don't-
Cruise.
I've never seen anything about Mission Impossible. I don't even know what he's trying to be.
He's a spy.
He's just James
doing an
Bond.
impossible
but
mission.
stealing it.
But this time it's impossible.
But
yeah. But that's the thing. And then you got 007. You don't care who 007 is. You already know what 007's all about, and you're
Yeah.
interested because it's
Yeah.
a spy movie. So, different. I feel like the name of the actor can carry a movie if you know the movie's going to be bad.
yeah.
But if the writing is there, the character development is there, you're gonna care. You're gonna want to watch it. You're gonna
Mhm.
enjoy it. But if the character development's shit and it's just an action movie where they're just selling you explosions and car chases and adrenaline, You don't need a good actor. You
Just
just
hire
need
Tom Cruise.
you just need a badass that's good at
Just
doing
need to hire Tom
stuff.
Cruise.
Yeah, like those. What
Like
are those?
that's-
Those movies like Amped or whatever with that guy. I can't even remember what they're called. Adrenaline or
Crank?
Jason's-
Crank.
yeah,
Yes,
Crank,
something
Jason.
like that. I'm naming all
Crank.
these names that could be movies, but they're probably not.
Or he's gonna die if his heart rate doesn't stay
Yeah,
up. So he's
exactly.
gotta like throw the fucking
Let's just
car
keep doing
battery.
things.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fucking matter. I didn't even know who that guy was for the longest time. He was just that guy.
Yeah.
But like those movies sold because they're just action.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
storyline? Does anyone even remember the storyline?
Explosions.
Yeah. If I don't stop, I'll die.
Yeah,
Like,
someone hooks up something to his heart or gives him some poison or something like that, where if his heart rate goes down too low, he dies and he
Yeah.
has something important to do. he
So
has to
did they
keep his
make
heart
sure he
rate
was
up.
on a treadmill when they pressed the start button?
I don't remember. Something. It's been a while because
Because
again,
he
not
has
that
to
good
build
of a
up
movie,
to it,
but-
doesn't he? So was he like, okay, once you're at 50 meters
No,
per
I
second.
think the movie starts with like just action.
Yeah,
Like,
he got like,
he's like,
like-
oh,
Yeah,
I gotta keep
so
going.
We, so we gloss over this idea.
Yeah, don't worry about that part.
Don't worry how we
Action.
started. We had him running for
No.
15 minutes.
As soon
before-
as you start to question it, explosions.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I like this movie.
Yeah, we just injected him with adrenaline and then we set the timer. So
yeah.
deal with this.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
wild.
long. Movie stars, we're done. We want characters that we actually care about, not just somebody getting forced upon us.
Exactly, because we as a people, we want to see what we love taken carefully. We want to see the art behind it and people expressing what it is in that way. We don't care about, oh, did you see Channing Tatum's abs? I don't give a shit about that. Like that's for like a tabloid magazine. That's not gonna.
That's for
actually,
Google. We don't need that.
right? That's not for art. That's just for some thirst trap. Like
Yeah.
so. To answer your question, fuck movie stars. I don't
Okay.
care about that. I care
So
more
I'm
about the
gonna-
characters.
I'm gonna sum this podcast up. Stand behind what you say with conviction and fuck Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Amen.
5'7", Scientologist little bitch.
Scientology. Ooh,
We'll get
I remember
these
that
all
thing.
written on the board here.
Yeah, since we just mentioned Scientology for the first time, we've just lost a part of our demographic. and
Yeah.
that was anybody that ever was a Scientologist.
Nobody is a Scientologist. It's not even a real thing. I think it's
Only
more
Tom
fake than
Cruise.
COVID. More fake than COVID.
Anyways, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap that up.
Yeah, it's a hot
Anyways,
one.
Anyways, I'm glad
I'm
you.
sweating like fucking crazy. in
yeah,
here.
these lights are doing a number on
I
me.
tried switching them up on this one. As the person who edits these videos and color grading and stuff, I'm always bothered that the shadow behind me, there's like
Yeah,
two very specific heads behind me, like a double-headed dragon or something like that. Like I don't like that kind of lighting. But we're just doing the best we can with what we
we'll
got.
survive.
Alrighty. Well, thanks again. Peace.
Yeah, take care,
Out.
guys.
I can't wait to see the intro.
That's why when you start singing, I'm like, I know he's got this on. I'm going for it. That's a beauty.
A little post game snack.